shaken yet standing firm. This is Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us here in this another wonderful Wednesday's edition of Talk Today. We have the excellent company of MLA. And as he says, he's just not only a North Sider, but boy, Mr. Ezra Miller. Good afternoon to you, sir. And on the phone, we're going to have the excellent company of Miss Elaine Harris from the Jamaican consulate. So please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Talk Today is brought to you by Fidelity Bank. For all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Also brought to you by greenturtle.ky. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile. Saving lives today. Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you for joining us. And honestly, it's a pleasure to be able to access our members of the Legislative Assembly. And in the studio, the best being North Sider, Mr. Ezra Miller. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Yeah,
thank you. There you go. And we do have on our phone Miss Elaine Harris from the Jamaican consulate. Miss Elaine, good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon to you, Mr. Sterling, and good afternoon, Mr. Miller.
Good afternoon
also to your listening and viewing audience.
All right. Well, thank you very much for reaching out to us and for the opportunity, to have through this medium for you to share with our listening public. You've always been so gracious over the years, and this time even more so. So thank you very much. How are things from your perspective, ma'am?
Well, we are concerned, as of course, the Jamaican consulate is closed, of course, in adherence to the government's shelter-in-place regulations. And we have established an emergency contact number, which we'd like to provide to your listening audience. It's 547-4826. Of course, persons can email us at jamaica@candw.ky. We are operating remotely. But I also am aware of a number of the concerns for persons who would like to leave and to return home. We are aware that some persons are already unemployed. And of course, we're hoping that arrangements can be made for persons to leave sooner rather than later before the situation becomes dire. And for this reason, we wanted to encourage persons to provide the necessary information which government is trying to collate at this point. You may have heard in some of the press briefings that they encourage persons, all nationals who wish to leave, to call 244-3333. But we also wanted to provide additional information because in communicating with the governor's office there, I understand that some of the information that they wish to obtain from interested persons who wish to leave would be information such as their full name, the date of birth in day, month, and year order, their passport information, and of course country of issuance, their local address, email address, and local contact. So it's important for persons who wish to provide information to get on a list and for them to be able to determine the numbers of individuals who wish to leave and to make that argument to the government of Jamaica or other governments in this region. It's important for persons to just have that information ready. Additionally, in the interest of time, we're really encouraging the employers perhaps to just send an email list with those information, which perhaps would help to alleviate the congestions on the phone line. For, instead of every person calling, perhaps employers could send emails of these nationals who wish to leave, and of course include the necessary information that they're requesting, which is the full name, date of birth in day, month, and year order, the passport number, and of course country of issuance, local address, email address, and contact number.
The same details that you're asking the individuals, but I think your suggestion as well, encouraging the employers to provide that list of its employees with that information.
I think that would be more less time consuming, and would reduce, of course, the congestion, as I said, on the phone line, which has been established for persons to call in, and just be able to get through at least a lot more people that way. We are aware, of course, that it is difficult times, and we're encouraging persons to just remain circumspect and continue to adhere to the safety regulations that government has established. We are responding to persons who wish to email us at Jamaica@cndw.ky with other concerns, and we are getting communications also from outside of the island for persons who are writing about individuals that are here that they're concerned about. So, we continue to remain active, and just encouraging everyone. If you have questions, reach out to us. But certainly, continue to listen to the briefings and the information that is put out by the government.
Okay, well, on our phone is Miss Elaine Harris, the Honorary Vice Consul over the Jamaica Consulate. Miss Elaine, if we could just ask you, if it's not too much of a position, from the Jamaican nationals in our community, what sort of concerns or queries have you been receiving? And equally, what are your sense in respect to their perspective here now?
Well, some of the concerns, of course, are the uncertainty as to when businesses will reopen. And we also know that there are persons here who are still employed who wish to remit funds to families back home, because some are the sole breadwinners. And the remittance companies, as you know, have not been given any exemptions. Great. So that has created, some challenges for a number of Jamaican nationals and their families back home. They're also concerned about whether they'll be able to access pension, and I know the Premier indicated that they are looking into that, and of course I think a number of persons are looking forward to the information that they'll provide. Those are some of the most critical ones. Of course, like everyone else, they're concerned about when the businesses will resume. The uncertainty is creating a lot of anxiety amongst persons, and we do know that sometimes when persons are able to obtain information that will help them to plan accordingly, it helps to provide a little bit more peace of mind. So that's really what we're attempting to do here.
And have you had any, Mr. Miller?
I think she's going about it the right way, and I encourage them to take our advice seriously.
Yeah. Well, as you shared, and as the Honourable Premier has indicated during the press briefings, that for those who may want to return to their home country, get in contact so they have the details, the numbers, to be able to understand how to arrange the logistics for the necessary flights. As we understand, it's not just a plane going one way; it has to return as well. What are the ramifications and implications of doing so? So, Mr. Lane, you were sharing from your information with us. You want the full name as it appears on the passport, the date of birth by day, month, and year of the individual, the passport country of issuance and a number, the local address here, as well as the email address and contact number for the people. But if the employers, I believe, as you shared, could be encouraged to provide that information, then it would make it more efficient. They already have that detail, for their respective employees. Is that email, as you shared, emergencytravel@gov.ky? That's the one that the employers would email that information to?
That is correct. That is the emergency email address that the government is using to collate the information.
Mm-hmm.
Persons that have emailed our office, we also forward that information to the governor's office that is collecting this data. It helps them, I guess, in making, and us too, in making the request to the Jamaican government. We do know that there are a number of Jamaican nationals globally that are trying to get home, and the country is trying to, look at that, matter as we speak. So, but this is one way that we can get the information a little bit more expeditiously. If we can, get the participation, the chamber members, the contractor association, and they can, just disseminate the information about them throughout their membership. It will just help that information. At least we get a broader understanding as to the number of persons who wish to leave.
Okay, and for clarity, if and when a flight is arranged to Jamaica, for example, in this instance, would that only be for Jamaican nationals who wish to return home, or would it be for permanent residents over there, people who want to visit? Just for clarity, or initially, what would that flight probably be for?
Most countries now really would be accepting their nationals.
Mm-hmm.
So any person, whether they are a permanent resident here or not, providing they're also a Jamaican national, would be the information that we're trying to obtain at this time. And this information is not just for Jamaican nationals, but for all other nationalities. I think the governor's office is, trying to obtain the information for other nationalities as well. For Jamaica, it might be a little bit simpler in terms of the flights arrangements, but clearly there may be other nationalities who, are trying to get home. For the most part, it would be very difficult for persons to transit Jamaica to other countries, but certainly Jamaica, once flights have been allowed to enter, they would be accepting just persons traveling on Jamaican nationals or proof of Jamaican nationality.
Okay. But as you shared, as His Excellency has reference for those other nationals, certainly get in touch with his office and provide information so they can get a handle on how many people here may want to return to their home country. But in this instance, for Jamaican nationals, you've established an emergency telephone number. Would you want to share that with us? That was 547-4826, was it?
For the Jamaican consulate emergency contact number, it's 547-4826. Of course, for persons who wish to communicate for the emergency travel hotline, government, it's 244-3333. And the emergency travel email address is emergencytravel@gov.ky.
Okay. Well, Mr. Lane, anytime you think that Radio Cayman can continue to partner and help you get your information out, please let us know. Anything else you want to share with us, ma'am?
Well, just encouraging persons again to continue to, be circumspect, to remain safe, and just to listen to the briefings and, of course, the information that the media, including yourselves, putting out there that will, help to keep people informed.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Please stay safe, and I hope that as you've, put this information out, people can pass it along. We have it here. We'll happily, continue to share it, and they'll get in touch, and the necessary arrangements so they can be in touch with their families home will be put in place. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sterling, Take care.
You too. Have a wonderful afternoon. Stay safe. Well, Mr. Miller, we'll take a break. You'll keep our company. Sorry we don't have any tea and biscuits, but in luck, maybe Miss Susan and Russell. No, man, she's going to find some swag here.
Breadfruit.
With that, we're going to pause and take a break, and when we come back, more Talk Today.
Social distancing is crucial for our community to get back to normal. And never before has communication been so crucial. Keeping in touch with family, friends, and up to date requires you to stay in touch. Green Turtle offers the solution for both. Download the Green Turtle app now. Top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination in Cayman. Phones delivered to your home, and with the new rewards program, you can even redeem points towards a new phone and other products. Download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today. It can help save a life. Hashtag Stay Home Cayman. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today. Happy birthday to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands. We are officially 44 years old. For 44 years, Radio Cayman has been the heart and soul of the Caymanian community. We are the #1 community station and will continue to stand proudly, shoulder to shoulder with our listeners, clients, and customers. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, 44 years and still going strong.
Digicel Shake to Win is back. Every Saturday, Digicel is giving you a chance to win LTE handsets, cash prizes, data, D-Music subscription, gas vouchers, grocery vouchers, and that's not all. Every week, you get a chance to win a $5,000 regional prize. Don't miss out. Simply download the new My Digicel app, activate a plan if you're not already on one, and shake to win every Saturday. It's that simple. My Digicel. More made simple. Terms and conditions apply.
A public service announcement from Radio Cayman. Coronavirus prevention tip. If persons have policy questions, you can go to Gov.ky and click on coronavirus. Be in the know. You can find the latest advice and guidance for households, businesses, and schools, as well as advice pertaining to older persons or persons with chronic diseases. You can also email questions to flu@hsa.ky or the hotline numbers of 1-800-534-8600 or 947-3077. For the latest updates and information, please visit hsa.ky/coronavirus.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you for joining us. And if you were just catching the tail end, as we say, that was Miss Elaine Harris, the Honorary Vice Consul of the Jamaican Consulate, who was just on, reminding the Jamaican nationals to get in touch with the Jamaican Consulate here. There is an emergency contact number, 547-4826, 547-4826. Of course, you can email Jamaica Kandawaki. For those Jamaican nationals who wish to return to Jamaica, get in touch with the Jamaican Consulate. Of course, you can, as she reminded us, contact the travel helpline, hotline. I'm not sure which word to use, Mr. Miller, with that one. And I think it was a great suggestion when she was encouraging the employers to already provide that information to the government at the email, emergencytravel@gov.ky. And
yeah, I mean, especially employers who are putting these people on furlough with no income.
Mm-hmm.
They should, assist them to get home.
Now, as those are joining us equally, special thanks to Mr. Ezra Miller, honestly, for being on this morning when we start, but sticking around and sharing with us.
I'm obeying my shelter in place. Right? although I'm one of those who's certified as essential, being a MLA, to move around. I don't want to abuse it, so I decided, since I'm coming Georgetown this morning to do Mr. Orange show, I would do yours, and then I'll come back into town now for a couple of weeks.
You're a good North Side boy. One trip down is one too many?
Sometimes, yeah.
No, but I say that in jest because I think one of the things that we're seeing with this, now there are, thankfully, many people who are trying to find, I was in all things give thanks, trying to find a silver lining in everything. And watching families out in the yard, watching families walking, exercising together, probably something that they haven't done ever. I mean, some families haven't done in the longest time because of, they didn't seem to have time.
Well, I mean, they say behind every dark cloud there's some silver linings, right? So part of the silver lining here with the shelter in place is it gives you time to know your family and to spend some time with your kids and significant other. So that's a good side of it. We've been playing some dominoes and it's got to be 15, 20 years I haven't played a hand of whist. But I was trying to remember the rules, so we're going to try that tonight,
Man. But
Monopoly is just too long a game for me.
No. I like whist, and I think it is, again, an opportunity as you shared. But I'm glad you mentioned that. And
I mean, it's good match,
Yeah. No,
so is dominoes.
I'm asking about another card game in a minute, but since you referenced that, I know that the Honourable Premier or the Commissioner, I think it was addressed the question from the media. We had received a number of concerns, and I wouldn't want to say complaints, but queries and concerns from individuals. We live in a community where, for whatever reason, some of us, because of a large household, we congregate together, maybe we shared accommodation, maybe just extended families, and unfortunately, a number of reports that we received where families were in their yard playing football. They've got the side yard to play. They were on the back having a little barbecue, playing a game of dominoes. That was one specific example. Police officers came and said, we can't have this. Too many of you here. And then when it was the one instance that I really feel 100% sure this is exactly how it went. Oh no, this is brother, sister, aunt, uncle. We all live here. I mean, see the size of this place. Or the officer says, oh, no, we can't have more than two outside. And it got a little bit tense initially. So hopefully that's been clarified. If you have 100 of you in the same household, just like the Queen in her household, I'm sure there's more than two people there. It doesn't matter once it's the same household.
I think on balance, all in all, I think the police have been doing a good job. But I have also had one or two complaints like that. And on the other side of it too, where they seem to be letting people get away with traversing the streets and not necessarily stopping people. But I think in fairness, on the overall picture, I think the police are doing a good job in grappling with this stuff, because it is tough to get people to stay confined for their, because we're probably looking, a good guesstimate, this is probably another 2-3 weeks.
Well, I like your optimism because I was thinking longer.
Well, I mean, I don't know whether because we've had the bridge flight where British Airways was brought in a number of Caymanians who are also being confined for another 14 days. So we have at least that 2-week period but this current one goes until next week Friday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they will have used up the better part of 10 days, 8 to 10 days out of that 14-day period. After that, and if we still continue to get the low counts that we're getting positive, we don't know what's going to happen now when we expand the testing, because we now have the tests to expand it to the wider community. But I think what we've seen so far, I think it is fair to say that the shelter in place and the social distancing seems to be having a positive effect in slowing down the spread of the virus, because my understanding is that all of those who have so far tested positive are contacts thereof of people who had previously tested positive. So,
Well, hopefully as we're sharing, and the phone lines are open, you can call the way in, you can go on a different path, you can challenge what's been said, you can, agree. Let's have meaningful discourse. I think if, as a community, we remain civil, as a people, we decide that it's better. At least, again, Mr. Miller, not just because of your acumen, but your position. Correct me, but for me, I'd rather be policed individually, myself, than to be policed by some authority and the like.
And I think that the majority of the success here is because Caymanians are taking the thing seriously.
Yeah.
And we are reducing our outing, so to speak, as little, doing those as little as we can, because it's obvious it's having the effect. So the actual enforcement is a lot easier when the community accepts that. It's very difficult to enforce a law that the community doesn't accept, right?
Yeah.
But I think in this case, it appears to me that the community accepts it well, and that most people are confining themselves to their own yard. I mean, I've had instances where people complain that the police are interfering in their own yard, and that's clearly okay, based on the definition of shelter in place that the government has issued. So
could have been a misunderstanding, a miscommunication, but hopefully that's clarified. I mean, I can think of, just off the hand, I won't embarrass them, I don't have their permission, but a particular large yard that there are a large number of the same family members.
Mm-hmm.
If they're doing what I've seen them do, just driving back and forth, if I had a yard that size too, I would be out there kicking football, right? Yeah. And maybe this would be good for the grandparents to come out and play, with the grandchildren. Just a little exercise and get outside, get the sun. So hopefully in that case, you almost see a full, first 11 that they're playing. Yeah. Not quite that many in that household, but so hopefully, that continues. But the challenge, as you shared, is the community. And
one of the things that I'm really against is, and I'm doing as much as I can to try and stop it, is that, traditionally a lot of people from West Bay, Georgetown, come to the Cayman area. In fact, most people book next year from when they leave the year before. That is not supported by the shelter in place.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that some of the people in my constituency who rent these places have put their foot down and said, listen, there's a shelter in place by the government. We are not renting the place. But however, there seems to be one or two which are still renting it. I got some information this week where one of those is renting a house to 10 people. Now, that goes a little bit beyond the congregation, because there's very few houses, very few families in Cayman that are 10 in member.
Yeah.
Even when we have 2 or 3 generations living in the same house, 10 seems it's a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that I spoke to the Minister of Tourism, Honorable Moses Colonel, and he said that DOE was supposed to be sending out a notice to them yesterday evening not to do that, right? Because the other thing it does, it makes the people who are sticking with the shelter in place rule and not renting it, it's making them look bad in the places that they manage, because other people are managing it. And at some point in time, this has got to be beyond the money.
Yeah,
right? And I say it so publicly, I put it in the press, but I don't think a lot of the media carried it. But I actually went to the trouble to put out a press statement a week and a half ago about it. Because normally, my office, working with the police, and we do special things for Easter weekend. We get DAs to bring in more garbage containers. We usually get permission from the DART people to open Starfish Point, open his gates so people can camp there. We set up the campsite at Caibo with additional facilities. We bring in portable bath, toilets, and have them all over the community, the place for people to use. We've done none of that this year because we are supporting the shelter in place rule by the government, and we have made no provisions for anybody to come to Northside, and particularly the Cayman area, to camp out or to even stay in houses as most people do this Easter, because that is not what the government is asking us to do.
Now, as you described that would sound, maybe I was misunderstanding, but if I live in West Bay, and even if I have that number in the household, but traveling from my normal residence into Northside to spend 3 days a week, that's not sheltering in place. That seems.
I have spoken to the police that is doing the Northside checks, and I will personally be driving around this evening and tomorrow to make sure that there's nobody setting up camps. And I've asked the police to stop people, because that moving your shelter from West Bay or Georgetown to Cayman is not a permissible act under even when your alphabet is up for you, or your surname for you to go out, it's for shopping, it's for medical reasons, etc. It's not to go out and party. And you're not going to go all the way outside and pay a couple $1,000 for a house and you're not going to party. No, come on now, let's be reasonable here. Right?
Yeah. Now, with that though, I'm mindful that this is a trying time for people and it's challenging. And I think as we come back to what I was sharing, if we can self-police, we expect. We've given permission to, professional associations to self-police, whether they're lawyers or doctors or the like. This is where the community needs to do likewise.
Now, one of the things that I'm also hearing is that some of these property managers are telling people that they can't get their money back, and that they'll simply have to book for next year. I don't think that's kosher. I think they should be given it's not their fault. This is it's not a fact where they're not turning up. It's because they're being told by the government you can't turn up.
Yeah.
And I think that the people who rent in the places should be much more amicable and give people their money back, even if they want to rebook next year. And there are more weekends coming up between now when we may be out of the woods here,
And probably when we look at this, this idea of what we call it.
I would hazard a guess that for probably a 3 to 4 month period when the rules are relaxed, because we will eventually get through this. They're going to depend on state tourism, stay-over tourism, and Caymanians to come and rent these places. And if you're going to treat people like this and you're going to prolong the process because you want to make some money this weekend, then I am one of those who are going to be recommended to my fellow Caymanians that don't rent from you, rent from somebody else. So I think we have to work together, and I think by and large, most of the communities have been doing that, right? And I don't think with this, they should be allowed to overrule this just because that's a good weekend to make some money.
Is that then, and I'll be guided by this, because for me, if we're talking, I like to understand what's the cost, the financial cost, but the economic cost. And there's a significant difference. There's the social factors, right? And then it's easy to look at statistics, numbers. For some people, it isn't. For me, it is. And there are two things that are striking. Again, with great respect to all on Sunday, in particular political and business leadership. But when, for instance, we're told at the press briefings, how much is this going to cost? Oh, a lot of money. If I go to the supermarket and they say a lot of money and I give them, there has to be some...
Well, I mean, a lot of money to me, right, is pennies to you.
I know.
I mean, you're in the entertainment business, right? I mean, when you look at what it pays CNN, I don't know what you're earning here. But what I'm saying is that, a bigger picture would be lots of money is relevant to what government is willing to pay. I don't know. But again, there needs to be, if the government expects us to be transparent, we should be transparent with us.
All right.
And we shouldn't, once we've paid for it, I don't think they owe any special consideration not to tell the people what it will cost.
But if I spend my money, that's my business. If I spend yours,
that's a different thing.
Yeah. Okay, so with that, right, and again, I've had a chance. It's interesting now. Many of us who did not, and probably still don't like the video conferencing, of getting used to it, because finally we start to appreciate what was really valuable. We didn't meet to have coffee because we liked the coffee. We met because we wanted to see the person, right? So this is the next best thing almost. Yeah. And during some of those conversations...
I was trying out Zoom like that myself. I mean, that's a major accomplishment for me. So.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'm not going to comment on that.
Right. But, again, you and I like to sit down and one of my... fun things to do is body language when you're talking to people and see what their reaction is and stuff like that. Kind of hard to do it over telephone, but I guess in the video conferences and Zoom, although it can be altered on the screen, depending how close the face is to the camera.
Yeah, I'll tell
you
about
it. It's better than nothing, and it's thank Lord for technology.
But with that, then at some point, if it's appropriate, and if you can guide me. Looking at the government's expenditure, not going to drill down into it, but we're seeing the business community just lumping it, in one big thing, saying, hey, we're suffering too.
Mm-hmm.
We understand that. I think the Premier is right in saying, life first. We will get to that. We're not ignoring it. But what's the point if everybody's dead? Let's be grim. Who's going to be your customers?
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to be your employers, your employees? There's nobody around, right? You can't take it with you. With that, though, we're seeing close to a $15 million, the Premier referenced it as a rescue package. Any thoughts on the distribution of that? Should that be better?
But again, I want it to be done in public.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the reason I support some kind of economic rescue, I guess is the best way to put it, of the business community. But I want it done openly and fairly. I think the government should publish the criteria, because I think the best how to get money, continue to get money into Cayman's pockets to allow them to live through this period is through their employer. Their employer has all of it, but most of them now work by direct deposits, etc., etc., etc. So rather than the government trying to set up some machinery, what I would like to see the government do, and I believe the Premier gave some indication that they are doing that, some kind of meeting with the associations and the small business companies and say, look, we are willing to help you keep your people on your payroll. Now, what percentage of the payroll that is depends on what government can set aside to do it with. That's not limitless, so it can't be 100%. The people who have made the profit of the business are the employers.
Yeah.
The employees are the ones who have contributed to them making the profit. So everybody needs to give a little bit.
Right.
I don't know. The ideal situation might be 50%. I don't know.
Right.
But I think that the first of all, I think the Minister of Finance has to do a sensible and practical calculation as what can the government afford.
Right. Because with that then, so let the money go, let's say direct deposit. Company A has 5 employees. Government decides we're going to give X percent or X dollars. Well, bank account for this employee 1, employee 2, and we go straight there as opposed to going to the employer for redistribution.
Yeah, I don't think we should leave it entirely up to the employers to distribute the money. And what I would like to see done is, in order to facilitate transparency, I think the criteria has to be clearly laid out. That's the criteria, right? It's not a situation where because you know somebody who knows somebody, you might get $10 more than me, right? I think there has to be a boxes that you fill out, a criteria that you match, but I think that criteria should be published. That criteria should not be a secret, right? Because I think that will give authenticity to what we're doing, and it should limit abuse. Because in most of these cases, it's the abuse that really causes the problems, and cause the big cause. And anybody who's not prepared to keep their employees on the payroll, right? Then they shouldn't get anything.
Right. When we come back from the break, Mr. Miller, I invite you to join us and share as you wish. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Social distancing is crucial for our community to get back to normal. And never before has communication been so crucial. Keeping in touch with family, friends, and up to date requires you to stay in touch. Green Turtle offers the solution for both. Download the Green Turtle app now. Top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination in Cayman. Phones delivered to your home, and with the new rewards program, you can even redeem points towards a new phone and other products. Download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. #StayHomeCayman. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today.
Community radio with a different appeal. The voice of the people. Security through adversity. Stuck on you. Radio for all time.
You're listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have here on the island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice.
For today's biggest news. Access
information. Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom team.
Today's biggest news.
Harnessing the power of the internet to deliver medical care in this time of social distancing, Health City Cayman Islands is now offering virtual specialist consultations via telemedicine as part of the hospital's outpatient services, in addition to accepting all local emergency cases. The expanded services bring the hospital to the second phase of its reopening amidst the Cayman Islands COVID-19 public health crisis. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. The president of the European Union's ERC Scientific Research Council has resigned after 3 months in the job with an attack on the EU's scientific governance and political operations. Mario Ferrari said he had lost faith in the system after he failed to set up a special program to fight coronavirus. And Iran has urged the International Monetary Fund to approve a $5 billion emergency loan to help fight the coronavirus as its death toll passed 4,000. President Hassan Rouhani warned that there should be no discrimination in approving requests. The U.S. reportedly opposes the loan, with officials saying Iran has sufficient funds at its disposal. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
For nearly 20 years, King Sports Center has been the heart of the Cayman fitness and wellness community. In order to ensure the welfare of all, we are temporarily closed until further notified by the Cayman Islands government that it is safe to reopen. During these trying times, we encourage everyone to maintain a healthy lifestyle, mind, body, and soul. We look forward to continuing providing you with world-class service in the very near future. Remain strong and continue to show the world the power of Cayman unity. King Sports Center, your one-stop shop for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
Start getting your debt under control with a debt consolidation loan from Fidelity Bank. At Fidelity, your loan decision is quick with no runaround. Plus, with competitive interest rates and fees, we will help you reduce your monthly payments and get you back to living again. Don't let the burden of overwhelming debt tie you down this year. Call Fidelity today and let's make it happen with a Fidelity Bank debt consolidation loan. Fidelity, we're good for you.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
I have various items coming from different suppliers that I need to ship to Cayman. Do you offer consolidation?
Yes, Seaboard Marine offers consolidation for full and less than container loads. We can hold your packages at our Miami warehouse until everything arrives and ship it all in one go. And we have the best rates to Grand Cayman. Visit seaboardmarine.com for more information.
Shipping shore to shore,
Social distancing is crucial for our community to get back to normal. And never before has communication been so crucial. Keeping in touch with family, friends, and up to date requires you to stay in touch. Green Turtle offers the solution for both. Download the Green Turtle app now. Top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination in Cayman. Phones delivered to your home, and with the new rewards program, you can even redeem points towards a new phone and other products. Download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Hashtag Stay Home Cayman. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today.
Listen to the general public.
Your thoughts are just a telephone call away. 1-800-534-8255.
What the public is saying.
Let your voice be heard. And now,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. And thanks to MLA, Mr. Ezra Miller, for joining us in the studio. The phone lines are open if you want to share your thoughts. Let's give you a couple of options. A WhatsApp. You can record a voice note, 925-3261. Or you can call us toll free, 1-800-534-8255. If you don't have a Flow connected cell phone or a phone that can call the Flow line, that's a toll free compliments of Flow, then dial us on 949-8037 and we invite you to share your thoughts with us. Now, prior to the break, we were looking at finances, but of course we can talk about other things. And Mr. Miller, as a trained pharmacist as well, any information, advice, any perspective as an experienced legislator, please share with us. Wisdom, I think, in your corner is in abundance. So we
I work hard to try to be informed, but I guess the caveat advice on all of this is first of all, take the public health experts' advice, shelter in place, practice social distances. You don't want to get the disease, right?
Yeah.
If you get the disease, there's no magic cure, right? What they're telling you now is take Tylenol for fever and lots of liquid so you don't get dehydrated, basically. There's some people who are advocating increasing your doses of vitamin D, etc., etc. Vitamin C has known antiviral compounds as well. But my recommendation is you don't do any of that without consulting your doctor, because they may have underlying factors that, because any kind of medicine you take, I can say this now that I'm no longer in business, you see. Any kind of medicine you take for one thing, going to do something you don't want done.
Yeah.
They call it side effects, right? But they're not really too far on the side,
Cause and effect is what I call it.
Right, yes. And so, the key is to practice what our experts are telling us on a daily basis, the press reference. Wash your hands. Try not to avoid contact through social distancing. Stay home and protect yourself and your family. If you go out in public, wear your mask. Again, I got a good joke this morning. Somebody sent me a thing saying that they have to wear their mask at home, not to keep from infecting anybody, but from keep eating too much. I said, well, I need duct tape for my mask.
I tell you what.
I don't think. Because I'm blessed with a good appetite, as you can see.
Oh, it's apple slack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a very serious disease, and we don't have any magic bullets for it yet. There's probably years away before we find anything. So take the medical people advice. Try to avoid getting it. If you do get it, seek help. Confirm that you have it through proper testing, and follow your medical advice as to how do you treat it.
Yeah. And something Dr. Lee had shared, perhaps one of the first interviews we had with him, long before there was any of these things transpiring here. He said as a physician, what a physician may say as mild. And he stressed it in the way he said it, the body language, the intonation, it struck me. And I think he's said it since at the press briefings. So for the public, appreciate that if you get it, for some people it may be this and it may be that for others, right? But avoid it as much as possible. Go in places where you don't have to. Right.
The thing that we know works now is avoid contact. Right? Avoid contact. How do you avoid contact? Take the government advice. Shelter in place. If you go out, take your 6 feet or more apart. Wear a mask. Wash your hands on a regular basis, and I include washing the face. And when I say wash your hands, I mean at least up to the elbow, not just this is not a situation of just tingling your fingers under the top, right? This is actually soaping your hands up properly. Most of you have watched medical shows on TV. You see how the surgeon cleans their hands before surgery. That's the kind of hand washing. Maybe not quite to that extent, but it's similar to that. You want to make sure that you have enough soap on your hand to kill the virus that's there, and wash your face at the same time after you wash your hands.
If we could, and again, we'll be guided by you in deference to all the parliamentarians, but John Ware Premier referenced that for a while now, but he said yesterday, looks like we're getting close to having, possibly next week, a meeting of the Legislative Assembly. I won't ask you to share anything that you're not able to or don't know.
I haven't been notified of anything. It came up this morning on the For the Record show. And my recommendation to him is don't look for any huge, complicated solutions. We need 10 people for quorum. I'm quite willing to not be one of the 10. Just send me the stuff. I'll send you how I feel about it. Straight up. I think that he needs to make some amendments to some laws to allow the government to do some of the things that they can't do by regulation. So my recommendation would be that he call a meeting of the Legislative Assembly, and only 10 of us are going down it, in order to give him the ability that he can't be he can't be outvoted, and he can't be tied, the government should send 6, and the opposition base should send 4.
Okay.
Give us the changes that you want to make to the laws so we can discuss it. We can get back to you or whichever minister is piloting the bill with our suggestion. We just shouldn't need to meet down there for any longer than an hour, right? Because we should be able to settle this as persons who have enough intelligence to know what we want to do about it. Put your input in, be honest about it. This is not the time to be playing political games, right? Let's have the meeting of the Legislative Assembly with 10 people. I am fairly confident that with 10 persons, you can maintain the 6-foot distance with the seats. First of all, the Deputy Governor and Attorney General don't need to be there. They can't vote. Because the only purpose of going out is to vote, is to pass it into law, right? Because we should have agreed basically on what we're going to do before. And have the 10 people, like I say, my recommendation is 6 from the government, 4 from the opposition side. And I think we can maintain it. We don't need to be there for lunch or anything else where we have to all get together, shoulder to shoulder in the dining room. You go in, you can go in one at a time. The security guard can assure that. And you go and you sit in the assigned seats. They have the meeting, discuss what they do, vote it into law, and it's over.
So 2 things then. One is in relation to, for me as a public, I would like to see what my Legislative Assembly is doing.
TV.
All right, yeah. So so that would still be possible. And then secondly, would the parliamentarians have to convene in the Legislative Assembly to be physically go there? Or
I think for, and I'm not a lawyer, but I just talk about my own experiences. I think for any law, for the law to be unchallengeable, it has to be done in the Legislative Assembly. The Assembly has to be called to order properly. Clerk has to be present. Speaker has to be present. And you have the meeting. It has to go through the 3 motions. The 3 readings, you can suspend the standing orders, which you've done many times in the past, right? To allow the 3 readings on one day and get it done. And you don't have that, but I think it has to be done. It doesn't have to be done in that building, right?
No,
but it has to be done. And again, well, I think right now it had to be done in that building, because remember when the government what word is I looking for now? I'm getting older now. When the House is called back every year, there are areas that it can meet. I remember we got in trouble some years ago because we hadn't included Kimmelbrack, and we don't want to have a meeting in Kimmelbrack. But I think right now it would have to be in that meeting. It couldn't be held in the Government Administration Building, for instance.
All right. So we do have a caller joining us and a WhatsApp to share as well. In the studio, MLA, Mr. Ezra Miller is our guest as we go to our phones. Good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling. Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dan.
Afternoon, sir. How are you today?
I'm fine, Mr. Miller. This is one ask you a question. Hello?
Yes, sir. I'm listening.
Yes, sir.
Hold on.
All right. For those who are joining us in the studio, MLA, Mr. Ezra Miller, 949-8837 or toll free at 1-800-534-8255. You there, sir?
Yeah, Mr. Miller.
Yes, sir.
There?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, what I want to find out some things about this Cuba thing. For one, what are the statistics on Cuba? Like how many tested?
They published their statistics. I don't know what they are today. The last time I checked, there was I think there was less than 50. I just can give you approximates. I think there were less than 50 dead, and less than 300 had been actually identified. But they have a system up that where they're going around knocking on everybody's house, and if you have symptoms, they put you in one quarantine, right? And then they test you, and then and all other people in the house have to go through a certain routine as well.
Yeah, I know that system. And none of them were knocking every door. Every street has somebody in charge of that, and then they call in all the streets. But when are the doctors coming down to Cayman?
I don't know. All I can tell you, sir, is I have seen the gazettal notice which amended the regulation and provided a legal framework to allow healthcare professionals, that would be nurses, doctors, lab techs if they wanted them, to come in under institutional registration to be able to work at the HSA, or I would assume the other institution is Shetty's Hospital, if that became necessary. But I think the minister said, if my memory serves me correct, yesterday, the day before, that they were looking somewhere between 50 and 100 or something, and I don't know what the makeup is, doctors, nurses, or whatever.
Well, they could ask their premier, and when they're making their stats in other countries, how much they're in China and Cuba and all about it, they include Cuba in it, because they're right next door to us, same as Jamaica. They're giving for Jamaica and some other places, but I don't know why they don't announce something about Cuba.
I don't know.
Then we have some doctors coming down here from there, and it seems that they're like getting this thing under control. And I think the government should know here, if they're getting some control on it, I don't see what is the harm in getting that knowledge, although maybe from Cuba, especially America. America doesn't want to send in help to other countries.
Yeah,
this is complete stupidity to me.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, maybe that's one because of the.
But they have been. I like I said, I have seen the Gazette notice. I get the Gazette, so I've seen the notice that has come out, and they're making the provisions in case they want to do it. And it is my understanding that they have already made contact with the Cuban officials in order to facilitate that if it becomes necessary. Right now, we only have 2 people in hospital, so it is really not necessary at this point in time.
Right. All right. With that, then we'll just pause, take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll continue our discussion. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Digicel is all about giving customers more convenience, more peace of mind, and more flexibility. Do more with the new My Digicel app. Buy plans, pay your bill, track your credit, track your data, and monitor your account. It's easy to use and has everything you need in one place. It's time to simplify your life, so go ahead and see for yourself. Download the new My Digicel app today. More made simple.
Did you know that ValueMed Pharmacy has a free online prescription service? Managing your health and medical requirements has never been easier with ValueMed. Simply visit value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com and click the Refill Prescriptions tab on our website. Fill in the information for new prescriptions or refills and choose your preferred pickup location. ValueMed on Walkers Road or Boddentown. Then bring in your original prescription from your doctor when picking up. There's no need to stand in line and wait for your prescription. Save time and pick up prescriptions at your convenience by visiting value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Domestic violence. It knows no gender. It knows no age. Children, the elderly, women and men. It affects everyone, and it needs to stop now. Research has shown that children who are hit in anger grow to be adults who hit in anger. Stop the slap. Stop the cycle. Stop the violence.
The Stop the Slap campaign, proudly sponsored by Foster's IGA. Stop the slap. Stop the cycle. Stop the violence.
This is a public service announcement from your Radio Cayman, your community radio station. Here are some coronavirus prevention tips. Frequently cleanse hands with soap and water or an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Cover your nose and mouth when coughing or sneezing. Avoid close contact with people suffering from acute respiratory infections. And avoid travel if you have a fever, cough, or flu-like symptoms. For the latest updates and information, please visit hsa.ky/coronavirus.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. In the studio, MLA Mr. Ezra Miller joins us. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255 or WhatsApp 925-3261. Mr. Miller, if I read this WhatsApp message that came through, it says, good afternoon. Just a quick comment in relation to Mr. Miller's ideas on economic stimulus. Maybe I should probably hold this a little further away instead of trying to read it from memory. So it is true, I believe, to say that the efforts being made by the government as regards civil servants, as well as communicating with the private sector regarding assisting their staff, in addition to the various economic assistance programs announced by Minister Hugh, it seems to me that in the longer term, Mr. Miller is quite right. Government will have to be able to further assist, but that the measures taken we need a tripartite balance between the government's economic capacity and that of the cost people's actual needs as offset against the current cost of living. Just my 2 cents. Thanks much. So from that perspective, I think what I'm hearing from people, and sometimes you don't realize what they see in this role. I certainly don't see it. Here's what I'm thinking. Can you share it? I think we'll call in and share it. No. So people are, and this is a small business, people who want to keep their business. These are medium-sized businesses who want to keep their business. But then the concerns for health and safety. But down the road, for instance, the banks, I think, are taking a positive step in saying, okay, if you want, we'll waive, the payment, or we can do something. But it's for the month of April. When it's the month of March, some of us were, whoa, it's kind of hard. Now, maybe there could be some discretion, some flexibility on the bank's part for that person who didn't get a paycheck in March, who mightn't get it in April, who mightn't get it in May, but probably maybe June might see something.
Yeah. Again, I think it has to be flexible in a certain, because you don't want the poor guy who didn't get his full pay for the month of March now to be behind in his mortgage and get punished when everybody else is getting a break simply because I could pay for March, but I'm getting off for April, May, June.
Yeah.
Mine, in terms of liquidating your debt, Jules and the accountant would tell me that's not a good plan anyway, right? if you can pay, if you can afford to pay it. Don't just take the holiday and spend the money on something else, because you're going to eventually have to pay it. But again, I think that we need to look outside the box a little bit, I believe, that ways to assist businesses. We talked about the government has mentioned things like, and there's apparently been some requests for pension holidays, i.e. we're not to make pension payment, deduct pension payments from people, right? But again, that's only 10% of your salary, right? So it's not really a huge thing. I have never been one of those who favors reducing your pension values by taking money out of it every time you're getting a little bit of financial problem, right? What I would prefer is what we talked about earlier, where there should be some pension cash here now that's not already been invested over the last probably 3 months of this year, right? I wouldn't recommend that people draw out their investments in the American market in particular, or in any of those areas, because you have the potential to lose so much money because the market is down. But what I think we could do as a country is look at cash that's available here and deposit that which is deposited in the banks. And you cut it, the government, through SEMA or whoever the experts on this, I'm not an expert in it, right? Negotiate with the banks that, look, we're going to put this pension money here. We can't do that at 0%, right? But the American market now is close to 0% on anything, right? Maybe we can negotiate with the banks and say, listen, we would like you to pay the pension holder 1%, right? Interest, and you can lend it, right, at 2%. Or 1.5% might even be better, because it depends on the numbers, and this needs to be worked out by people above my pay grade that knows more about numbers than I do, right? But there's a benefit to the financial institution for doing it, but that don't mean that they should be able again to just give it to anybody so they can make that 5%, right? Because there should be some kind of insurance on that money that it can't be lost, right? So you protect the pensioner, right? Or whatever in the financial industry that works in that environment. But the idea is that there would be a way of businesses getting some soft loans, right, for a short period of time, maybe 3-5 years. I don't know what the numbers would work out based on what the economists project in terms of the economy coming back. Because even if we get out of the coronavirus quagmire now by June, the economy in Cayman is probably not going to come back till sometime next year, in terms of back to the level of tourists and all that, because much of our business is outside of our borders, you know. So that's going to depend on their recovery as opposed to our recovery. But certainly the business that we can generate locally, right? If you can somehow arrange to keep some money in Caymanians' pockets so that they can continue to buy their food, they can continue to be involved in the whole commerce of the country, then I think things will start to bubble back up. And again, the package from the government can't be 100%. I mean, that's just unrealistic, you know. The business people have made profit the last couple of years on these people, labor. So it's time for them to give a little bit too. And you know, it should be a three-way thing. The employer has to understand that, listen, we're going to keep you on the payroll, right? But we got to reduce your salary by X percentage. The government is going to put in a certain percentage. The owner then either goes to the bank and borrows the other percentage that he needs, or he contributes out of profit, you know.
And back to what you're sharing, using the pension funds, there could be but the pension fund remains intact, right? So you don't lose your retirement benefits. You're getting a little return, not a lot, but you're helping everybody at the same time. Indeed.
You're benefiting from the money circulating in the country. So, you know, you're making your own little contribution too.
You're investing in Mr. Miller, we do have a caller joining us. For those who want, 949-8037 or toll free 1-800-534-8255 with the compliments of Flo as we go to our phones. Good afternoon. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon, and this is Cayman Brack calling you again.
Good afternoon, Cayman Brack. I like the sounds of that. How are you today?
Okay, fine. I wanted to, first of all, compliment Mr. James Tibbetts at Tibbetts Enterprises. He has put a big sink out by his front door, and he has soap, and he has paper towels, and he is encouraging people to wash hands as they go in. He has assigned a front door and an exit door. So how wonderful is that?
Yes.
I would like, because Tibbetts Enterprises is our Home Depot on Cayman Brack, okay? Now, I would like to update you about Kirkconnell's shopping store. They have installed plexiglass dividers between the shoppers and the clerks. And you cannot go into a store on Cayman Brack unless you wear your mask. Okay?
Good.
I did see a lady with a cloth mask, and I asked her if she had made it. Apparently, there's a tailor on Cayman Brack that he is making them.
Good.
So you can inquire if you're within the sound of my voice and get one made, because you cannot go into a store unless you have your mask. I did see one individual come up to a certain store, and they indicated they did not know that we had placed new restrictions in place. So that is good that we are having great practices. Even though we cannot go out on boats to fish, I have been on the shore fishing.
Lucky you.
Yes. And so that's sort of an update. I would like to say also that anyone needing medication can call the hospital, get a doctor's appointment, and get in and get your medication.
Good.
So I say that because I'm a Caymanian American. I am scheduled to go out on the plane on the 19th. I will listen today to see what the new updates will be, because there is talk that the planes may not go out until May.
Yep. Well, right now the borders are closed, so that I think there's, All
right. And we're going to ask, though, when the caller, if you're there, to ask, she said we put in place restrictions or new regulations, is that the community, how is that?
The community.
Yeah. which is thing. But anyway, we'll come back on that. Susan, a break, she says. Let's go, Mr. Miller. See who's in charge, right? Just take home. Stay tuned.
Social distancing is crucial for our community to get back to normal. And never before has communication been so crucial. Keeping in touch with family, friends, and up to date requires you to stay in touch. Green Turtle offers the solution for both. Download the Green Turtle app now. Top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination in Cayman. Phones delivered to your home, and with the new rewards program, you can even redeem points towards a new phone and other products. Download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Hashtag Stay Home Cayman. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today.
Vamped Motors encourages everyone to stay home in compliance with our government's directives, which are absolutely critical to protect our islands from the coronavirus. In light of this, Vamped Motors will be closed from Wednesday the 25th of March for 10 days, or until our Cayman Islands government gives us the all-clear to return to work. Please, everyone, be safe and let's get through this together by staying apart.
The Business Buzz with Sabrina Turner. Each and every Tuesday and Thursday morning at 7:30 a.m. Brought to you by
Cayman Medical Supplies. Call them at 949-6211. Cayman Insurance Center, celebrating 45 years in the Cayman Islands, specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services. And also brought to you by FSH Designs. Let your imagination grow with FSH Design. Visit fshdesign.com today.
A public service announcement from Radio Cayman. Coronavirus prevention tip.
For persons who think they may have symptoms, you owe it to your family, to your friends, and to the community. You have a moral obligation, if you think that you may have been exposed, to withdraw from community activities and to stay at home until a safe period has expired. The elderly among us are particularly vulnerable, and not isolating in many instances will be the same as imposing upon those people a death sentence. Please understand the seriousness of that. We are encouraging everyone to be as responsible as you can possibly be during this very, very difficult and critical time.
For the latest updates and information, please visit hsa.ky/public-health/coronavirus or gov.ky/coronavirus.
Radio Cayman News.
4 new positive cases of COVID-19, bringing Cayman's total number to 39.
That we can get through this incredible crisis that the entire world is facing.
Several folks are busted for breaching the new Sunday hard curfew.
I'm speaking to you at what I know is an increasingly challenging time.
Radio Cayman, your official source for Cayman's COVID-19 response. Hear it here first.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon, welcome back. And very, very grateful to Mr. Ezra Miller for joining us. But I respect that he has other things to do as well. So, sir, I won't impose on you much longer. With that, though, for our listeners, we're expecting the 2 p.m. press briefing as well. We do have a couple of calls, 1 or 2 WhatsApp. So let's go to the phones initially. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Mr. Dwayne?
My good friend, how are you today?
Okay. Mr. Miller gone or?
Mr. Miller is still here, sir.
Man. Be careful what you say about me.
He listening to you now. He got a notepad and a pen. Although it's a black pen, so it probably don't count. You're not read.
Yeah, try to make me laugh too much, man. I forget what I asked.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Mr. Miller, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Sir, I just want to ask you one question. Right? Mr. Miller, the $200 million you're fighting against the cannabis, right? You're paying to fight, not you, but...
Yeah, I understand what you said. Right.
You understand? Sir, you wouldn't understand that, say, that money would be kind of real good this time, yeah? Real
But I don't know how you need to tell me how you get to 200 million.
Somebody about a couple of years ago. I know that they came up with they said that they spend $198 million a year. You understand, doing the courts and the judges and the police officers.
So from the budget and allocation for prison, police, and courts.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not just for marijuana. That's for all crime.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Anyway, the semantics. Yeah.
But marijuana or cannabis is the most, the most tackled or the most thing you're getting arrested for. You understand? That's true, not true?
But I think people get arrested more for burglary than they get arrested around, for marijuana. And the drug court and stuff gives people a break just on consumption. They don't give any break for distribution, illegal distribution.
No. I mean, even if you got a speeding ticket or you getting parked somewhere and they find out you got herb on you, cannabis on you, you're getting arrested. Mm-hmm. Or if you did rob somebody and you had cannabis on you, that's another charge on you, right?
Yeah. Well, it is still illegal here.
Yes, sir. So you understand, like the budget for the $200 or the $198 million, that wouldn't be very, very good for us, right?
But I don't agree with your figure, with your numbers. But if you're suggesting that the money that we're spending now for interdiction of marijuana or ganja, whatever you call it, would be better spent on coronavirus and the testing kits and whatnot,
Ventilators.
Well, yes, those two.
Ventilators. That would be.
But remember that remember that the current approach from the public health aspect in Cayman is to try and prevent us from getting to the position where we're going to need any ventilators at all, right?
I know.
And so far, you have to give them their due. They seem to be reasonably successful.
I do. I very much do.
Right.
But when it going,
and if it comes down to where the government would have to make a choice between spending money on interdiction for marijuana versus buying a ventilator that we need to save somebody's life, I'm going to let you come down and decide on the ventilator. But I don't think we need to make that judgment call right now, and I don't think we have the necessary information before us to make a sensible decision about it.
Okay, so you would still leave it at the way it is, right?
Currently, yes.
Okay. Even with the amount of domestic violence going up in things too.
Well, I mean, remember that the only time this country ever had a drug plan, I wrote it in 1989, and it called for not for interdiction, but for educating of the youth and demand reduction through education as opposed to interdiction of drugs.
That would be through the drug court. That would be them going through the drug court, or.
Well, at that time, part of the proposal was yes to have a rehabilitation component of it, but the emphasis was on educating young people not to use drugs, and to reduce the demand through education as opposed to trying to reduce demand by interdiction, because that doesn't work. All that does is, in some instances, send up the price and cause other agonies.
But alcohol is all right, right?
No, I don't. I in my drug plan, alcohol was a gateway drug. I treated it, but when the night that they launched CASA, came on against substance abuse, I told the governor's wife at the time that if she was serving alcohol when I came to the launch, I would be going in one door and out the next. When I went there, they had 2 bars set up, and I went home. Because I didn't, the whole time I was in government, I didn't promote alcohol consumption as part of what government should be doing for entertaining people.
Yes, sir.
I will tell you that I believe that alcohol causes more problems in this country than most other drugs that people take. It just doesn't happen to be, just at this moment it happens to be legal, right? But it is not without its problems.
Mr. Miller, just let you know, it's not that I'm fighting so that I can go smoke this thing anytime I want or anything like that. I have a problem and I need this.
No. There are several, not that many pure scientific studies, but some that indicate that the some extracts of the marijuana plant have medicinal purposes and uses, you know.
Rule it as a medicine, so.
Mm-hmm. Well, listen, I don't want to be dismissive, disrespectful. We have two other callers. Anything else you want to quickly share with us?
Just let me say thanks to Mr. Miller. Thank you very much.
All right, man. Thanks.
All right. Hey, thanks, man. And thank you for always being understanding, always willing to contribute. Be safe, all right? All right. Two more quick calls, Mr. Miller. Mm-hmm. Welcome. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Sterling. Good afternoon, Mr. Miller. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Afternoon,
I'm fine. Karma's here.
Huh?
I say, Karma, keep look for us. You know what I mean? Shut your mouth.
All right. Okay.
Okay, listen now. This is Reba. Now, we're going to talk about...
You sure that? You sound funny.
Oh, no. I am staying home as anybody else. I'll not have no trouble with Reba.
Take off your mask so I can hear what you're saying.
Don't have any mask on.
We're far enough apart right now. Okay. I'm just being,
He's joking with you, man.
Okay, now, Sterling, get your pen.
Yes, ma'am. I got it.
Okay. This is called No Sewing, T-shirt, mask, DIV.
For Reba. All right.
DIV. Now, I went and I looked and I studied this because the woman who sews for me, which I can sew, but I hate sewing, me and her is going to make some. But these that we are going to make, you see what people got to understand, that cloth has a trading in it. I learned this in hotel management. The more trading and the thicker the cloth, the better it is.
Yeah, because it has to stop the particles from coming through.
Right. So the thicker you use cloth. Now, what we are going to do, and I would advise people to do it, Super Stitch is not open, and Reba is not Super Stitch. I have fancy cloth, so I'm trying to look for all cotton cloth and T-shirts. What we should do, put a layer of the cotton outside, and I would advise people, if they got T-shirt, put at least 2 layers, 3 layers inside, and then take it and then cover it with another piece of cotton to your mouth. Now, that is called the No Sewing T-shirt mask.
Okay.
Now, that is one I give Nana. You got the bra, and Ezra, I don't speak Chinese, even though I work with one. It's called LUMANG. You got it?
Mm-hmm.
It's called a bra face mask. Washable, reusable, the bra, and they're very easy to make. Because the reason why I went and I researched it, because I know some people cannot sew, especially my daughter. So I'm letting her make hers too.
All right.
Okay, I got another one to give her now.
But what kind of bra should it be? Should it be wire support or has any stuff in it to make it look fit better or anything like that? I don't know nothing about bras, and I'm asking all these questions. Okay, dear.
And this will show you how you take the wire out of it.
Okay,
and you
all
got
right.
the elastic there to use the strap. I tried on an actual bra with one.
All right. Okay.
And it got to be a special shaped bra. I noticed it. So when you all go on to this thing, you look good on what I am telling you about the bra.
Okay.
And it's very easy. And to me, see, that's the one I would make because must remember that it got spongy. The inner, the piece that would face your mouth, I put another layer there, like just cut a piece of T-shirt. If they have something called fabric glue, that can wash. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
That fabric glue can wash. You can put an extra layer into the bra, and they're washable. Now, the one that I want to do, but because the stores is not open, it's called a doctor's how to make the safest face mask. And they're using a vacuum bag called HEPA. And that is also
a vacuum bag. Okay.
Yes, and it has that type of material like say a coffee thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
the filters, huh?
EPA.
Microbes.
Very easy to use.
All you need to do is cut the bottom out of a Pepsi bottle, 2-liter bottle, and cut the top out of it. And that can be a shield, and cut it down the middle.
No.
Yeah, it'll fit right over your face.
This one's called a doctor's explain how to make the face-to-face mask. This is said with a HTA vacuum bag. Now the next one is called DIY face shield. Oh God, I write sometimes I don't even understand. It's called DIY because I can't write. I do backhand. Ezra, you know that for years. Sterling, I think you should know that. DIY face shield mask. Okay? And then that one is also there. Sterling, if you have a problem, you're Ezra, just call me.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much, Mr.
Okay,
Rebo.
all right.
Many people.
But wear your mask when you go out, okay?
I know some friends who wear a mask, but that was before this corona thing, and boy, we're glad that they were. Mr. Miller, in this...
Thanks for having us, Charlie. I think we'll get ready for the... Make room for the government press briefing.
All right. Well, thank you for sticking around and joining us.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
It was always a pleasure.
Call me in a month.
We will. All right, we're going to pause and take a break. When we come back, we'll continue with some calls. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Social distancing is crucial for our community to get back to normal. And never before has communication been so crucial. Keeping in touch with family, friends, and up to date requires you to stay in touch. Green Turtle offers the solution for both. Download the Green Turtle app now. Top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination in Cayman. Phones delivered to your home, and with the new rewards program, you can even redeem points towards a new phone and other products. Download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Hashtag Stay Home Cayman. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today.
Honey, our fridge has stopped working again. Everything in the freezer is melting. We need to get this repaired right away. I'm calling Brand Source Service.
When you need the very best appliance service, call Brand Source Service at 623-5000. Offering service and installation of all brands and models of appliances. Brand Source Service is Cayman's source for appliance parts and repairs, with qualified and experienced technicians and the island's largest stock of appliance parts. Brand Source Service will have your repair completed in a flash. So, whatever the problem is, call the experts at 623-5000. Brand Source Service, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Telephone 623-5000.
When you've got boxed in your freezer, there's no need to stress. Just heat it up, cause we've done the rest. Get boxed, it's local. Get boxed, it's tasty. Get boxed, it's easy. Get boxed.
Boxed meals are available in the freezer aisle at all major supermarkets, or stay at home and take advantage of their free home delivery with any order of $100. Visit Boxed.ky for the full menu. Order at wholesale at catering.ky or call 326-3937. Preventing dengue is as simple as preventing mosquito bites. Use a mosquito repellent, wear protective clothing, and stay indoors during early dawn and dusk when mosquitoes are most active. Control the places around you where mosquitoes breed. Remove stagnant water in outdoor and household settings. As a weekly habit, persons should change the water in vases, clear the water in saucers under potted plants, and ensure air conditioner drip trays are free of stagnant water. Outdoor objects capable of holding water should be kept empty and preferably disposed of or put into dry storage if not used. These include open bottles and tins, watering cans, buckets, empty paint tins, and old vehicle tires. Do your part to control the spread of dengue. The dengue virus is an infectious disease transmitted through mosquito bites. Symptoms may come on as early as 4 days or as late as 3 weeks following an infection. There is no vaccine or specific medication to treat dengue. Symptoms of dengue include high fever, headache, pain behind the eyes, joint and muscle pain, and rash. If persons have any of these symptoms, they should go to the nearest health center or hospital. It is advised to drink lots of liquids and avoid medication that contains aspirin.
A public service announcement from Radio Cayman.
You're pressing for everyone to use their good conscience. Don't be selfish in respecting the suggested distance of 6 feet and the washing of hands constantly. Please check on your neighbors and especially our elderly. Also, persons who have chronic lung disease, diabetes, bronchitis, cancer, or asthma. Check on your family members and isolate them soonest as possible. I ask those persons who smoke until it's clear, please do not put anything in your lungs that are not natural. You may well be increasing your risks. This includes vaping. Self-isolation is very important for our country's ability to bounce back quickly to some normalcy. This disease is not prejudice.
For the latest updates and information, please visit hsa.ky/public-health/coronavirus or gov.ky/coronavirus.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Let's go to the phones. Good afternoon. Thank you for calling. Okay. And for those who are joining us equally, here's a quick WhatsApp that came through earlier and says good afternoon. Says this is in relation to alcohol. Says alcohol has been one of the main causes of domestic violence. Not everyone responsible drinkers. The stats in the domestic abuse driving accidents, children and the mothers having to go to the crisis center, children without sufficient care, food, clothing, etc. So at this time, when it is a time for everyone being at home, stress is up, and this is a very vulnerable time for children and parents. So I think we need one of the councillors to address the subject of alcohol and the negative effects. By the way, it's not only the bars, the mart, gas stations, stores in the districts. So it's really something that needs attention. That this is a serious situation. I know a number of individuals have, if you've been watching the press briefings, asked, why is the liquor stores open? Others have also queried, not necessarily at the press briefings, but if the gas stations, and as this WhatsApp message reads, almost everywhere now sells alcohol, do you need it in fact to have it at the liquor stores? We will reach out to some would recognize that withdrawal symptoms is a real thing and can be fatal for some. Others may say, it's a really calm, perhaps without the drink it may be worse. Comes down to, I think, as we've always recognized, how can we use this time to improve ourselves? Maybe it was an issue that we struggled with. We joke and jest. We've seen the little graphics that have been circulated. Man, with all this quarantine and all this eating, if we don't get out of the house now, will we be able to fit through the doors after this is over? Perhaps it's a good time to exercise. Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Maybe it's a good time to, have a think. I eat this thing often, I drink this thing often. Perhaps a little moderation. Recognizing, though, that it is easier said than done for many of us. For some, as my uncle always said, he said mind over matter. And he was able to control it, many things, because he thought having a strong presence of mind gave him an opportunity to, make it really matter. 949-8037. Let's go to our phones. Good afternoon. Thank you for calling. Hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm fine, thank the Lord.
Amen.
A little bit over rested right at the moment, I guess.
Well, good for you.
I haven't been listening to you so long, but when I hear the word alcohol, it fucks my ears up, so I had to call in. I agree with you. There's no reason we should have all of these liquor outlets, and I don't think it would be impossible to change the policy and close them down, because that's what a large percentage of our problem in this island is, the use of alcohol, or the abuse of alcohol, I should say, and no one seems to take it serious. And on top of it, it's a legal item, and it looks like every day nearly, or every time it's a license like a license board meeting, it's always some application for extending it or adding more longer hours or more days or something or other, special occasion. And I don't understand that people seem to be blind when it comes to the results of these of the sale of alcohol. And a lot of these now that are selling it, supposed to be by the bottle or by the package, they're just going on either staying on the property and consuming it, or going next door where no one is complaining and drinking as much as they want. And even with this, even if it said banned during this particular period of time, because if a person is drunk, they can't abide by these regulations that we're bound to abide by now to protect ourselves and to protect them as well. But it seems like it's an impossible task to close down liquor stores. I don't understand why.
Yeah, I hear you, but if I could then ask, for those who would say, well, there are the consequences of maybe withdrawing too quickly. Let's put aside that for a second. From the financial perspective, though, there are many who would share, well, the government now is being asked to incur not just increased expenditure in terms of security and other measures, but the community is saying, we need help with this and help with that. Even the businesses now are, got their hands out as well. For those who would recognize that the tourism sector isn't performing, so whatever revenues the country would derive from that, whatever taxes the government would get from that sector, the hotel, tourism accommodation tax, for instance. Now, where is that money coming from? Some would suggest it's the sale of alcohol, the sin taxes that we've imposed on alcohol.
Well, what about the people that are not here to go to the restaurants, which is where I think a lot of the alcohol is consumed? So what are they going to do about that?
Well, as you shared, the liquor stores are open. People are buying the alcohol, taking it home. They're taking it, as you shared, to the properties next door, consuming it on premises. How do we address this then in a much more wide, more encompassing perspective?
I'm not sure. It would take probably a study of what could be done, but I feel that we need to look at doing something because we're getting worse and worse all the time. And unfortunately, those that are in authority don't seem to look at it that way. I don't know why. I don't think that because something is not going to be available legally that you should assume that they're going to obtain it illegally. That might be the case, but that shouldn't be how we assume to run the country either.
Mm-hmm. So your advice then to the government would be what? Close all of the establishments now? Just put a ban on it for now?
Well, it should have had it for now at least. In order to make sure, I think you must have heard at least two people were arrested for DUI or DWI because of that they were abusing her outside of the curfew hours. Within the curfew time that they should have been in their houses, they were out driving, probably drunk, and good thing there wasn't many cars on the road, or probably didn't. And a couple of fatal accidents, I suppose, but fortunately, that I don't think those two caused any. But that's a minority compared to the majority of what's being done, the detriment that's being done by the majority of people that consume it.
Now, if you were looking down the road 6 months, 10 years from now, what do you see Cayman like after this thing plays out, if it plays out?
It's hard to say, but it looks like the liquor licenses have gone out of beyond all reasonable bounds. I also disagree. I know there was one or two gas stations sold some for years and years, which should not have been allowed, but maybe that was even being done illegally somewhat. I don't know. And because of that, apparently everybody got on the bandwagon and wanted to have it in these gas stations. I detest the fact that when I go into a gas station, I have a bunch of liquor facing me right in my face, where it never used to happen at all before. But you're forced now to see it and wait on people buying it and everything else. see it taken out, whatever.
All right, so well, I hear you, man, and hopefully we'll see many good things come of this that are sensible. Hey, thank you, sir. Respectfully, leave us there. We're going to hit the 2 p.m. headline news. The press briefing starts on time. We'll go to that. If not, we're going to come back here. So if you're on the phone, stay on the phone.
Your 2 p.m. headlines brought to you by greenturtle.ky. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
Today's biggest news.
Radio K-Man.
It's only 2 species that we have here on my island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice. For today's biggest news.
Access.
Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom team.
Today's biggest news.
Civil servants who are not working are being told to prepare for potential redeployment. On Monday, government announced the shelter in place would be extended, including the continued closure of non-essential government offices until further notice. Deputy Governor, the Honorable Franz Manderson, said while there have been a number of civil servants already redeployed, they are anticipating that the need for extra assistance for their essential services will increase if the number of COVID-19 cases continues to increase. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines. In news elsewhere, U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders has ended his presidential campaign, clearing the way for former Vice President Joe Biden to become the Democratic Party's nominee. 78-year-old Mr. Sanders told supporters today he saw no feasible path to get enough votes to win the nomination. An early front-runner, the Vermont senator, found success with young voters, but slipped behind Mr. Biden in recent weeks. And Bruce Springsteen has said he is crushed by the loss of U.S. country folk singer John Prine. The Grammy-winning songwriter died on Tuesday at the age of 73 due to COVID-19 complications. Prine had been in hospital in Nashville since last week with coronavirus symptoms, with his wife and manager Fiona Prine posting updates about his condition online. Prine was revered by his peers, including Bob Dylan and Johnny Cash. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Social distancing is crucial for our community to get back to normal. And never before has communication been so crucial. Keeping in touch with family, friends, and up-to-date requires you to stay in touch. Green Turtle offers the solution for both. Download the Green Turtle app now. Top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination in Cayman. Phones delivered to your home, and with the new rewards program, you can even redeem points towards a new phone and other products. Download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Hashtag Stay Home Cayman. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
Your 2 p.m. headlines brought to you by greenturtle.ky. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
6 p.m. news, Monday through Friday, is brought to you by Logic. Your life connected. Happy birthday to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands. We are officially 44 years old. For 44 years, Radio Cayman has been the heart and soul of the Caymanian community. We are the #1 community station and will continue to stand proudly, shoulder to shoulder with our listeners, clients, and customers. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, 44 years and still going strong.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thanks for joining us. And we are awaiting the daily press briefing. So when that starts, we'll go straight to it. But in the meantime, let's go to our phones. Welcome. Thank you for calling.
Hi, Sterling. How
Hi.
are you?
Fine. And yourself?
I am very well. Good to hear you back. It's been a while.
It's been a while, and it's even, much better to hear you.
I just sent you a message as well, so I decided to call in. On the matter of alcohol and on liquor stores being open.
Mm-hmm.
There are a few things I believe that people are getting up in arms about that actually are not even worth discussing at that level. This is not a conversation about whether alcohol is good for people or not. The fact is, withdrawal from cigarettes cannot kill you. Withdrawal from marijuana cannot kill you. Withdrawal from multitudes of drugs that people take, whether illegally or legally, with prescriptions or without, do not kill you. There are some drugs that can. Alcohol is one of them. Withdrawal from alcohol can kill people. This is why they've made decisions. I think the first place that we actually saw this happen was in New Jersey when they had a shutdown. And they decided to leave the liquor stores open because this shutdown is designed to save lives, whether it is from COVID or if it is from withdrawal that could have been avoided. Yes, alcoholism is an issue. Nobody's arguing with that. However, it needs to be very well balanced. This is not the time to make ideological judgments. This is the time for us to make sound scientific decisions. So if we're going to be protecting the population from COVID, we cannot be putting other parts of the population at risk who, yes, they are alcoholics for whatever reasons. This is not the time to just fix alcoholics overnight.
And it's not an overnight fix,
really
right?
Where this is coming from. Sorry?
And it's not really an overnight fix as well.
No, it's not. This is a process. People are suffering with this condition. It's not something that we should be... I don't even know why this is such an issue. And to be fair, I've seen the conversation come up, well, why are the liquor stores open but the church is closed?
Mm-hmm.
That bothers me because if you're going to open both liquor stores and churches, then we're in a position where people are gathering in large numbers and spreading this virus. This is not an argument for further opening up. But if we were to close the liquor stores, there is going to be a lot of harm in this community. Yes, alcohol causes its harm, but there are people who will actually die if this shuts down.
So the access to it, then you see it as essential because of the potential fatal consequences of withdrawal.
Yes, because of the fatal consequences of withdrawal.
Yeah.
And yes, not everybody who is going to these liquor stores are alcoholics. And it's not like alcoholics have an ID number or a card that they can say, oh, I'm an alcoholic, let me go to the liquor store. So in order to save people who are in that position, these outlets are actually considered to be essential.
Right. Well, there's a PSA running on Radio Cayman for all unknown. It's for those people whose lives have been affected by alcohol. Mm-hmm. And I think if it's possible for those of us who may find ourselves in that position, reach out, connect up, maybe reconnect up to get, as you shared, another ground and another perspective, just like, alcoholics will attend their Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. This could be another opportunity for those who are not alcoholics but are affected by it to do so as well.
Of course, but this is available all the time, right? When people want to be, want to actually come out of that lifestyle and move away from that addiction and are actually seeking help, there are lots of resources that are available all the time. And yes, some of them are available even now. And God bless them for making themselves available during this time of crisis, because of course this is also a high risk time for people who are suffering from addictions. They lean into the addiction to cope with the level of stress, right? So of course, this is going to be a time when counseling is going to be important for those types of people, etc. However, the fact remains that even going through the recovery process, for a lot of alcoholics who are really severely affected by this condition, you cannot go just cold turkey overnight, because we will have people coding in the emergency room. You cannot put them in that position.
Yeah, that is the challenge I think that we're facing, as you shared. But the notion, though, I think alcohol is one of those emotive things, and as you shared at the outset, maybe this discussion, there are other things that we should be looking at with equal priority, if not more so.
I think so. And Sterling, I am not one of those people that holds any strong ideology around those types of things. I very much trust, and this may or may not be, there's no wrong or right way to see the world, right? But I'm one of those people that kind of comes from a position where, I trust my neighbor to manage themselves. That is their business. I don't need to go into their house and see what, and correct their behavior. And that's where it's like, a lot of the conversation around alcohol is coming from such a deep-seated, self-righteous place that it actually really makes me angry. I'm not an alcoholic. I don't need to go to the liquor store. But I am very much aware of the consequences of that kind of decision on a lot of people's lives.
Right.
And it's not our business.
Yeah. I'll read this WhatsApp. This person shares, that when you look at the sale of alcohol, the notion that they have a sin tax paid on alcohol and cigarettes, that's probably where the money is, coming from for the government to pay at this time, given that tourism and even, financial services are in a doldrums, as it were. So as I was asking the caller prior, we don't take away the sale of alcohol, the taxes on it. Will the government have funds to give the need assessment, to give the businesses for the bailouts that they're asking for?
And that may or may not be an argument that comes into play in the decision. However, even if that is not an argument to play in the decision, Sterling, the fact remains that lives would be at risk if they shut down. And health is my thing, right? So keeping my eye on how this thing is playing out. I am very, very proud of what we have done as a country around making decisions that are for the safety of the human beings that live in this place. And I understand a lot of people are hurting, but there is a lot of resource that is being pumped into this community to keep people afloat. It's not going to be like we were living last month, right? Where it's comfortable and it's easy and we know where our next mouthful is coming from. But we are doing our very best. But this conversation, I feel, is a distraction from some of the bigger issues, which is there are lots of big issues that are at risk to our security right now. Burglaries happening here and there throughout the community. Young people on bikes up and down the road. I have seen dirt bikes cross my front gate over and over and over in the last couple of days. Well, I shouldn't say that. I haven't seen them in about a day and a half. But, there's so many other things that are at risk to our security right now that I feel like this is just a storm in a teacup that people just get their craw into.
Yeah, but the dirt bikes that were on the road, prior to the curfew and this thing, they were on the road frequently, seemingly unimpeded.
There was no virus jumping from one rider to another when they stopped. This is where the security issue becomes very much connected to this.
And I hear you, but could that virus not jump from one to the next if you're in a supermarket?
That's always an issue, Sterling. There's no question about it, right? But it's a matter of what is essential and what is not. That's not essential. Being in a liquor store, if you're an alcoholic, might actually be essential to keep you alive through this crisis.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear what you're sharing, and there are the consequences of withdrawal that could be fatal, as you've shared. Yeah. Well, I like it. Some of us are indeed self-righteous, as you shared. Some of us are trying to be, pensive and proactive. Huh?
True, and it's just a matter of really being careful to make sure that we are making decisions as a nation that are good for everyone. Yeah. Whether or not we approve of everyone is one thing, but making sure that the people who are in this community right now are safe, have everything that they need to get through this crisis. That, I think, is where our priority needs to be.
All right, well, maybe one day we can invite you remotely to weigh in on some of the topics. How about that?
Sounds good.
All right. Be safe, okay?
You too, bye.
Thanks. We are awaiting the press briefing, but hey, we have the phone lines open. Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for calling.
Sterling, Dwayne.
My friend, how are you today, man?
Hoping it could rain.
You hoping it would rain?
Yeah, I see some clouds coming in here and hoping it could rain. That would be a good change, right?
Yeah, what's that? Is it, I think it will rain down on me, Phil Collins?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I wish it would rain, yeah. Well, maybe that's, not just R-A-I-N, but we'll see.
Listen to the conversation I was saying to myself, we need trees. We need trees. You get wine from trees. You get herbs from trees. And trees give us the oxygen that we need.
Cleans the air, huh? Yeah.
It literally gives us the air, the invisible air that we breathe. And this time is necessary. It's just that what we do with these trees, it depends whether we come under the side of criminal or non-criminal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can take the same grapes and make wine, or you can take the same potato and make vodka. You can take the same, you can take herb and make cannabis, and you can use that for many different things. But if we try to go about destroying the particular thing, let's say we destroyed all of the trees that made alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Crazy, right? If we destroyed all of the trees that made marijuana, we're going to start suffocating ourselves. And I think this is where it comes to the responsibility of the person that's either smoking or drinking. And nobody agrees with either one of those lifestyles, but somehow we live among trees.
Mm-hmm.
I try to keep down the middle of the road when I hear the discussion that's happening on where we should be, what we shouldn't have. Let's say we didn't have those trees now. What would then be the next thing that we need to get rid of? Let's say we had no trees that made alcohol and that made cannabis. You know, what's going to be the next thing? What's going to be the next devil? Just give me, it's a hypothetical, but I'm just like, you know, is it going to be eggs?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, chickens are making eggs, and somehow everybody are addicted to eggs because we have to have it in bread. We have to have it in, you know, cakes. We have to have it in, you know, our foods and stuff. And it's just like, I think humanity has...
So if I could ask then of you, and I think this is where sometimes we become emotive, and maybe because of that emotion, we are unwilling to look at the whole notion of, well, wait a minute, how do we look at this thing from a scientific, analytical perspective? So let me give it to you this way. I was saying to Mr. Miller earlier, with a little time on our hands, some of us are now finding that we congregate electronically, and maybe we've gravitated towards having video chatting. And so with time on your hands, I think you can get time to maybe ask questions if you have the right audience. So two things. Right. The approach to enforcing alcohol or drinking and driving in particular, and still, since it's still illegal to smoke a ganja spliff or a cannabis joint.
In Cayman, but not in many other places of the world where they make.
Just in Cayman. We just focus on the Cayman.
Right.
Question was posed, what if the officer, so we're going to put it in the hands of those who enforce our laws, in a sense, in the first instance, the police officer. So the uniformed police constable, would his, we're not going to say her, we say his now, his perspective be that if his particular mindset is that having a joint is okay, he'll let it slide. Or if stepping from the bar, stumbling into the car and getting in and driving home, that's okay because culturally that's his mindset. What I'm asking, are we still of that view that depends on who you are, there's a discretion, or are we completely of the view that this is a strict offense, so therefore if you're smoking or if you're drinking and driving, doesn't matter what who the person is or what the thought process of the enforcer, is one and the same across the board. Do we think that we're there now, or we still have that cultural bias?
It's a tricky thing, Sterling.
Mm-hmm.
It's tricky. I mean, well, one should not be stumbling, right? But some people do not have that. Obviously, some people don't have that. They're not cognizant of that, and then we need people to help them with that. But then people see you stumbling, they're automatically saying, we're not going to help you. And those that can't help won't help. Even those that are serving you won't help because they will be making funds off of you every glass they give you. Right? For me personally, I find with Herb, you can have a little more consciousness. You're not stumbling. You're not a stumbler per se. That's not to try to compare one to the other.
Right, okay.
I kind of want to say something here, and I didn't need to say it. I think, like with the churches and stuff, there has been a although there is a moral compass and stuff, there have been so much condemnation from that about people who are sinners and who have gone onto the other path. There's so much emphasis on you being so wrong that you cannot be right.
Right. But alcohol isn't the only sin, is it?
Well, that's the thing. That's what I was saying to you in the beginning.
I know.
Get rid of that sin.
Yeah.
What's going to be the
All
next
right.
sin?
My friend, apologies. We got a press briefing right. So we talk again? All right. To the press briefing we go.
Clearances, vehicle licensing, as well as trade and business licensing and other services as well. Before we go to our panelists, we'd like to begin with a prayer from Reverend Ruth Stevenson.
Let us pray. Thank you, God, that you are the great physician who not only heals us, but who is very present in our time of need. Thank you that your desire is for our wholeness and well-being. And so we come to you knowing that your open arms will never fail us. With confidence in your promises, Lord, we lift up before you today the collective suffering of your word as a result of this coronavirus pandemic. Be with us during this time of sickness, death, fear, doubt, isolation, and grief. Let your word bring comfort to us. We pray, O God, for those already infected with the virus. May they experience your healing and power. We pray your protection and grace for all who are actively engaged in the fight against this virus. Protect them from becoming ill themselves and ease their anxieties as they carry out their duties. Thank you for our leaders, Lord. May they be inspired to discern and choose wisely as they determine how best to govern in this time of uncertainty. May each of us be mindful of our responsibilities to our neighbor. Reveal to us new and creative ways to come together in spirit and in solidarity. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
And thank you, Reverend Stevenson. We now welcome our panelists, His Excellency the Governor, Premier the Honorable Alden McLaughlin, and Minister of Health, the Honorable Dwayne Seymour. We also have with us Chief Medical Officer Dr. John Lee, as well as the Commissioner of Police, Mr. Derek Byrne, with us. We're going to begin today with Dr. John Lee's update.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I have no further results to report today. The laboratory is currently going through validation testing for new testing reagents that have arrived. I am very pleased to say that one of the patients who was admitted with COVID-19 has now been discharged from the respiratory unit. So bringing the hospitalized down in this country to 1 patient, 5 have fully recovered, 5 have clinically recovered, 19 have some symptoms, and 15 are asymptomatic. There's no change to the figures on Cayman Brac or Little Cayman. Thank you.
Dr. Lee, thank you very, very much for that update. We also have members of the media who are joining us today via Zoom from various locations across the island, all, of course, because of the importance of social distancing at this time. And members of the media, does anyone have questions for Dr. Lee? Actually, Wendy from CNS, can you please go ahead?
Thank you, Donna. I appreciate that. Dr. Lee, I wonder whether you're in a position to be able to explain to us how we're going to get the best out of these test kits that arrived today. We understand 165,000 of the kits from South Korea are here. Are there policies in place yet, or is there anything that you can tell us about how we're going to best utilize this significant number of tests, which could obviously be a game changer for how we manage our way out of this pandemic? Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. It's great to be able to talk about it as we've been working hard on it. This is a multi-step process, and I think, as you rightly said, there needs to be protocols in place. We have agreed changed protocols for testing, so we will loosen the ability for us to test and we'll move away from the World Health Organization's recommendations to test more widely. That needs to have a final approval, which will be done tomorrow, but it's basically been approved by a clinical panel who've been drawn up to give their opinion about it. The other issue, of course, is the testing capacity in the laboratory, and 200,000 or 165,000, the ability to test that would challenge any laboratory. You can't clearly pass that through in a week. There is a finite length of time through which any test will need to be done, and especially when you pay attention to the quality assurance that must be done in order to get these tests right. What you do not want to do is push a lab too hard, and I know that the labs won't allow that, because they have to have the right steps in place to make sure that we can rely on the results that are coming out. In order to do the tests, it helps if I can try to explain the steps. So we first of all need to have the swabs in order to take the sample. We have a lot of, we've received an emergency supply of 1,000 swabs that arrived yesterday. So in the short term, we don't have a limitation in swabs, as we're only using in the few teens for our new patients. We have had quite a few people who are in the government facility go through, but as that bulk has gone through, we're using sort of like 10 or 20 on the patients who we're testing at the minute. The swabs then need to be taken and taken to the laboratory, where there's a deactivation process where you're basically you're making the infectious material non-infectious so that you can put it through the rest of the testing process. That's quite a labor-intensive period. It requires work in a biosafety cabinet. There are, in fact, 4 biosafety cabinets across the island, 1 in the HSA, 1 in Doctors Hospital, and 2 in Health City. However, the biosafety cabinets are used for different purposes. For example, one of the biosafety cabinets at Health City is used for chemotherapy, so that would never be used for a process such as this. There are 2 biosafety cabinets that are on order for the HSA. In addition to having the cabinets, you also need the technicians who are able to do this process, and it's a skilled process to work with infectious material or potentially infectious material, but you can be trained to do it. So at the moment, we have 1 person that is doing this at the HSA. There are 2 further people who are being trained at the HSA, and both of those members of staff should be able to contribute to the process, which will not only enable us to use the cabinets when they arrive, but also enable a longer working span over the working day to get a bigger throughput in order to do the testing. At the moment, we can do about 150 tests a day, largely due to the slowdown in the cabinet side of things, but with improvements in that side, we should be able to push that up at the Health Services Authority, I understand, to around 500 a day. But that's not today. That's going to be over the next 10 days or so. And each day, things are improving a little bit with regards to training and the ability to do more. In addition to that, the machines that process things, in order for them to travel into the polymerized chain reaction machine, there's a robot that needs equipment, that needs to have supplies. There are kits that are needed by the robot, and there are also supplies that are needed by the PCR machine. We have a significant supply of those now, but it's not a limitless supply, so we need to continue to confirm our supply chains for those. I'm really pleased to announce that there's a lot of collaboration going across the island. So we've been talking to Health City about being able to train up their technicians in this particular type of skill so that they may be able to become a center who could receive and do the initial processing for samples, for example, from the east side of the country. Doctors Hospital as well are nearly there with their ability to bring their PCR machine, their new PCR machine online. And the HSA is going to, well, what we're going to try and do is sort of provide a countrywide approach to this, where everybody is using the same system and the same process, so that we can better share all the resources across all of the three hospitals who are able to contribute to this. Sorry about the long answer, but I hope I've sort of given you a bit more information to help you understand.
No, much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lee. We're now going to move to Reshma from the Cayman Compass. Reshma?
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Dr. Lee, can you provide us with how long you anticipate that process will take so that we can resume testing? And how many tests do we have outstanding, waiting to be run?
I know everybody loves to get figures out of me for these things, and I don't have all of the figures for the tests outstanding, but they're not much different to what they were before, I'm led to believe. It's a matter of 10 or 20 that are outstanding, left to be run at the minute. There may actually be results later today, probably in the early evening. What's currently going through is the shipment from South Korea is going through its testing. We're checking that works on the machine that we have. That's what's happening. That's what's been happening so far today, Rashma.
Okay, and if the media has no more questions for Dr. Lee, we'll now ask the Commissioner of Police to come with his update. Meantime, I'd like to also thank our sign language interpreter, Ms. Carolyn Powell, for joining us. Commissioner?
Good afternoon. Very quiet overnight with no significant issues of a policing nature to report. Crime remains very stable and the hard curfew period continues to operate very, very well. Little Cayman last night, no issues overnight. Cayman Brack, 16 vehicles intercepted by police, 2 persons found in breach of curfew and warned for prosecution. Grand Cayman overnight, 120 vehicles intercepted by police, no breaches of curfew detected. 1 female pedestrian walking home after visiting a friend, found in breach of curfew and warned for prosecution. From 6 a.m. this morning, 2 persons were found in breach of curfew and warned for prosecution. One of those persons was found on Grand Cayman operating outside terms of work permit conditions, servicing a motor vehicle, and in Cayman Brack, a person was found at the supermarket on a date not designated. Business across the islands at supermarkets, banks, pharmacies and gas stations are operating well and without incident. Business continues to be well managed, well controlled, with social distancing protocols being followed. There is activity along the beaches with persons out walking and exercising, and a small number of persons are swimming in the water. Our helicopter and marine units remain deployed on extended tours monitoring marine and ground activity. A reminder again that daily exercise period is for 90 minutes between the hours of 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. Monday to Saturday. Just a quick mention of Easter as we approach the Easter weekend. A reminder that no camping on the beaches will be allowed and any such activity will be treated as a breach of curfew. I remind you again that Easter Sunday, the 12th of April 2020, is a full 24-hour lockdown from 12:01 a.m. until 12 midnight, which means that the hard curfew comes in at 7 p.m. on Saturday evening and remains in place right through Easter Sunday until the bank holiday Monday morning at 5 a.m. That is a hard curfew. If you should not be outside your premises, please do not be outside your premises. A reminder that we return to the curfew tonight, 7 p.m. until 5 a.m. in the morning. Persons not exempted in writing should not be out and about during these hours. Police, static and mobile patrols will be in place across the islands throughout the night to impose the curfew. Nothing further arises today. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any questions for the Commissioner from the press? Okay, Reshma, please go ahead.
Thank you, Donna. I just have one question for the Commissioner. If he could update us on the situation with the ticket books. Are you ready to issue tickets now, or is it still in the process stage?
So we're almost ready. It has been legally approved by the Chief Magistrate and by Crown Counsel, ready to go. It's now at the printer, and we would expect that by Tuesday we will be in a position to activate the ticket process.
Okay.
Thank you.
If that's it for questions for Dr. Lee and the Commissioner at this time, we'll go back to them if we need to. We're going to move on now to our Honorable Premier, Mr. Alden McLaughlin, for his remarks today.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'll start with the usual world stats. Total cases worldwide now at 1,491,785. Total recovered, 319,064. In the U.S., cases now total 418,410. up 18,075 overnight. Total deaths, 14,240, up 1,399 overnight. Spain, 146,690, up 4,748 overnight. Total deaths, 14,673, up 628 overnight. Italy, 139,422, up 3,836 overnight. Total deaths, 17,669, up 542 overnight. France, 112,950, up 3,881. Total deaths, 10,869, up 541 overnight. Germany, 110,698, up 3,035 overnight. Total deaths, 2,192, up 176 overnight. China, 81,802, up 62 overnight. Total deaths, 3,333, up 2 overnight. United Kingdom, 60,733, up 5,491 overnight. Total deaths now at 7,097, up 938 overnight. Canada, 19,179, up 1,282 overnight. Total deaths, 427, up 46 overnight. Portugal, being added by request, 13,141 cases, up 699 overnight. Total deaths, 380, up 35 overnight. India, 5,749, up 398 overnight. Total deaths, 178, up 18 overnight. Philippines, 3,870, up 106 overnight. 182 deaths, up 5 overnight. Jamaica, total cases 63, still at 3 deaths. New York State, 149,316, up 6,932 overnight. Total deaths, 6,268, up 779 overnight. The British Overseas Territories in the Caribbean, Anguilla, 3, Bermuda, 39, 2 deaths, British Virgin Islands, 3 cases, Montserrat, 9 cases, Turks and Caicos, 8 cases, and 1 death. I don't have a great deal to report other than that. Today, I think by now, because the news has been everywhere, people know that we've successfully brought to Cayman 165,000 test kits from South Korea. There are a lot of people to thank for making that happen. His Excellency the Governor has a detailed report, and for fear that I miss someone out, I'm simply going to say a heartfelt thanks on behalf of myself and the government. And indeed, I think I can say the people of the Cayman Islands, to all of those private sector, those who introduced government to the company, those who have helped to fund the cost of the kits, those who have paid to have them brought here, and all of the team, particularly the team in the governor's office, led by Matthew Forbes, who really did the heavy lifting to make sure that these arrived here. It really has been a tremendous collaborative effort, and I think a true testament to the Cayman and Caymanian spirit. When we are faced with challenges, we rise to the occasion. So I won't steal any more of the governor's thunder. A lot of that has been stolen today because from the moment the plane landed, there were all sorts of questions about what this King Lear was doing here. So you can't keep secrets in Cayman. I keep telling people that you got got to live right because they can find you out. So I think that's all I really want to say. At the moment, I'm sure there'll be questions about a number of other things. Easter is coming up. I'll have a more fulsome report tomorrow about how the weekend is going to be treated. But yeah, I'll leave it there.
Mayor McLaughlin, His Excellency.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. So first of all, just in terms of where we are, I do want to say a big thank you to the community. It is increasingly clear that the curfews are operating extremely well, and I do thank the community for their cooperation. We really need to keep this going. Stay home, Cayman, and if we can get through another 10, 14 days of this and not see further outbreaks of positive cases, we really are in a position and we can start thinking about where we might go from there in a more positive and optimistic way. But there's so much hard work still to do. So thank you, everyone, for that. On the South Korea test kits, so yes, we've got the 165,000 here, which is excellent news. It was incredibly complex and challenging, both the procurement led by my office in collaboration with people. Our Cayman Regiment played a role, the Ministry of International Trade, Investment, Aviation and Maritime Affairs, the private sector, and the British Embassy in South Korea, in Seoul, who undertook due diligence to assure the quality of the testing kits. And as the Premier said, I do want to pay particular tribute to Matthew Forbes in my office, who was pivotal in making this happen. The team worked very closely with local businessmen, Mr. Vernie Cole and Mr. Craig Merron, who provided the initial contacts for the suppliers. Our huge thanks to them. The logistics was supported by DART Corporation, who arranged and funded the aircraft charter to fly the consignment from Seoul via Anchorage to the Cayman Islands. 35,000 test kits had to be sent via commercial means to London due to capacity constraints on the chartered aircraft, and they will arrive at a later date. And I know there's a lot of interest in this. So the overall cost of the kits was US $4.4 million, representing a cost per kit of $22, which is competitive compared to the international market. In an incredibly generous gesture, local philanthropist Mrs. Suzanne Ann Oldie, OBE, donated half of the amount for the purchase of these kits. So again, a huge thank you to everybody involved in helping us do this. It really was Team Cayman at its best, and now puts us in a very good position to step up testing up to 500, 600 a day. We hope as soon as possible that we have the capacity to do, and that is a key part of our strategy now for suppressing this virus and hopefully being able to relax and open up at some point in the future. I want today as well to give a shout out to the people at the airport for the British Airways flight. I thanked a lot of people yesterday, but I do want to thank as well Albert Anderson, the Cayman Islands Airport Authority, and all the staff at Owen Roberts International Airport for their help with this first air bridge. That is greatly appreciated. One quick message on the emergency travel helpline. That is extremely busy at the moment. It only operates 9 until 5 Monday to Friday. The Deputy Governor is going to significantly increase the staff that are manning those phones. So do please keep ringing in and giving us your information if you do want to leave the islands, despite the challenges of doing that, which is being looked at the moment. There is an email address as well, emergencytravel@gov.ky. So if you can't get through on phones, do send an email to that team. And then finally, perhaps on a lighter note, I mean, I know Easter is coming up, and I know Easter is incredibly important in Cayman, and I do think especially of our children who have seen so many changes. They're very young to understand a lot of them. But I know that the Premier and I spent a long time discussing this morning, and we have agreed that the Easter Bunny is an essential worker. So provided the Easter Bunny stays at home, he or she will be allowed out over Easter. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the laugh, Governor. All right, we now move on if we have no questions for His Excellency. Question from Wendy at CNS.
Go to Minister Seymour. Okay.
Hello, Donna. Sorry, my question's actually for the Premier. I don't
No, we don't want to get into those things.
know whether you're continuing with the panel first.
Oh, okay. Just 1 second for me, Wendy. We're going to move to our Honorable Minister of Health, Mr. Dwayne Seymour.
Thank you, Donna. Good afternoon, Grand Cayman, Cayman Brac, and Little Cayman. I'm sure you all have seen how much sun has been shining lately and killing that coronavirus. Did you know that the flu epidemic tends to die out at winter's end? What an awesome God. Scripture today, you restored me to health and let me live. Surely it was for my benefit that I suffered such anguish. In your love, you kept me from the pit of destruction. You have put all my sins behind my back. I want to give a shout out to all the delivery drivers. You're doing a great job. Keep it up and keep within your time. Also want to shout out all the children, school children who religiously did your online participation with school work, especially those who wore their school uniforms while at home so their teachers could see. Congrats to you. Today, our message, our translation, is the country of Nepal and South Korea. Of course, South Korea, and thanks for our test kits. And I'll say thanks to them. In Nepalese, King Paya, Nabil, Gama, Ni, Bus Nuhus. And in South Korean, Kuk Childan, Jonga, Unen, Shimben, Suisio. And thanks to South Korea, Gamsa, for allowing us to get those test kits. I would like to take this opportunity to wish the Cayman Jewish community a happy Passover. Passover begins at sundown on today, Wednesday 8th. Also, I'd like to thank CIBC, First Caribbean, for coming through with their promise as announced earlier a few days ago, and delivered the support to government to allow us to purchase more test kits and other supplies needed in the sum of US $25,000. I thank you again to CIBC First Caribbean, and we hope that more persons come on at a time like this and work together with the government. I'd like to start today by saying thank you, Cayman. After my appeal for blood donors last week, the blood bank now has a couple weeks worth of donations on hand. Within a few days of my first public appeal, the blood bank received 67 units of red blood cells and have 15 new donors. It makes me very proud to hear about members of the community providing this gift, the gift of life to those in need. Although the blood bank has a few weeks of blood supply, since blood has an expiry date, they will continue to take donations from this point forward. They can be contacted on 244-2674. Email info@bloodbank.ky, or you can schedule an appointment online at bloodbank.ky. It is important to call or go online to schedule an appointment and not travel to the hospital unless you have a confirmed appointment. Moving on, I'd like to give an update on the flu clinic and flu. Since the opening of the new flu clinic, March 16th, the flu clinic has had 370 patients visit, 34 of those in Cayman Brac. Over the past few weeks, we have seen 69 patients in Grand Cayman and 10 in Cayman Brac. This number is higher than the previous week, which was 61 and 6 respectively, which can attribute to people calling in the flu hotline first or self-medicating at home. In total, the hotline has received over 1,959 calls since mid-March. The average number of calls this past week is around 62 per day, which is less than the previous average of 75 per day. The majority of these patients seen at the flu clinic are adults aged 20 to 64, although the number of children seen in the flu clinic is much lower than adults. They are also a vulnerable group. Therefore, the Health Services Authority has opened up a flu clinic dedicated just to children. This clinic is open Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., and is located just inside the hospital behind the current flu clinic. This is a precautionary measure taken to keep the children separate from the adult flu cases. Converting this space into a fully equipped pediatric flu clinic is another proactive measure our health system is taking to help ensure the health and safety of our country's children. As a reminder, if you're experiencing flu symptoms, please call the flu hotline first, as the medical professionals who man these lines will advise you as to what you should do and the next steps to take. For instance, they may recommend you self-medicate at home, or depending on your symptoms, you may need to come to the flu clinic. This applies for Cayman Brac residents as well as Faith Hospital, also has a flu clinic. It is important to call ahead to be properly triaged and then follow the directions of the flu hotline. Those numbers are 1-800-534-8600 or 947-3077 or flu@hsa.ky. As you know, 165,000 of the 200,000 tests arrived from South Korea this morning, which is great news. We now also have 1,320 swabs, which are required to conduct the tests, with more orders on the way. Our COVID-19 response team, including the CMO and public health, will prioritize who they will be testing first in regards to essential frontline workers. There were many people involved to make this happen, and we thank you. This involved the governor's office, local businessmen, DART, CBC, Port Authority, HSA and their facilities team, Public Works, and Thompson Shipping, who provided the refrigerated containers to store the test kits, among others. The public and private hospitals are also working together, as the CMO mentioned yesterday, to put in place processes to get the samples tested in an effective and efficient manner, utilizing testing capacities across the island. Yesterday, I asked banks to consider opening additional branches to help with congestion at the current limited locations. In addition to the over-the-counter transactions, which are still open to the public, there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes for individuals and business alike. I want to send special thanks to the local banks, their management and staff, who are working tirelessly behind the scenes to meet the payment deadlines and process the necessary transactions which the government needs in order to secure supplies for patients and frontline staff and first responders. We appreciate everything you're doing to help keep these crucial transactions moving forward. I'd like to also give a few other shout outs to Jacqueline Harrison, who has been helping with frontline staff accommodation, and Andra Famoy, who has been assisting with urgent curfew requests, including those that need letters for making blood donations. The Public Works Department has been an incredible help to the HSA in assisting with multiple projects, including relocating the physiotherapy department to Smith Road Center, setting up of the respiratory care unit, setting up the flu clinic, and assisting with the shipments of the new supplies arriving on island. I also want to say, as the Premier mentioned, on a numerous amount of times, that the remittance services I have not seen a letter. They're supposed to write to government to express their concerns and their intent of how they plan to move forward. And I have not seen that as yet. I don't know if the Premier has seen it, but I know we get a lot of requests on a daily basis of persons who want to send money off, etc. I thank you and God bless.
Thank you, Minister Seymour. Before we move on, I'd like to tell you that you can now go on YouTube. The channel is back up as well. We have with us in the studio today Dr. Samuel Williams Rodriguez, the Medical Officer of Health, if you have any questions for him. So we're going to move into the questions now. First coming from Cayman News Service. Wendy, please go ahead. Wendy, please unmute your mic.
Yeah, sorry, I was struggling there I was writing notes.
No worries, go ahead.
I would like to ask Dr. Lee some follow-up questions regarding the testing. Can you hear me okay? Would you prefer me to do my Dr. Lee question first or the one for the Premier?
Dr. Lee is moving towards the podium now, so that's fine. Please go ahead.
Dr. Lee, my question is regarding who and where the people that we're going to be testing first. I understand that healthcare workers and other frontline staff are essential, but there have been a lot of inquiries with regards to people who have self-isolated at home, who have not been tested, but may have had contacts with others or very mild symptoms. But will we be able to start, have we kept a track of those numbers? And will you then be able to start testing those types of people as well?
Yeah, so that's exactly the group that we want to have a look at, Wendy. So to get a better feeling for the prevalence that may be there that we may not have been capturing fully because of the quite strict WHO guidelines. So that is one area that would loosen up so that any healthcare professional could make their own decision about whether they felt somebody should be tested for COVID-19.
Thank you. And my only question for the panel was for the Premier. Really, it's about the schools. We have literally hundreds of questions about education every day. So we were wondering whether the Minister could come back, and also in a more short-term one, is the school the school reopening day, which was set for later this month, I think, is that still a realistic target, or is it much more?
No, it's not. It's no longer realistic. Quite frankly, the schools will be among the last things to reopen when we reopen. And I will arrange with the Minister so that she can join us by Zoom. We'll get that worked out for next week.
Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Premier McLaughlin. Now we're going to move to Felicia Rankin from Radio Cayman. Felicia?
Hi, good afternoon. My questions are for the Premier. There have been rumors circulating that some medical supplies that were on its way to Cayman have been seized or prevented from coming to Cayman from the U.S. Is there any truth to this?
Yes, I'm afraid there is. Yesterday, the U.S. authorities actually removed from a vessel, a ship that was coming to Cayman, a container which contained 8 ventilators and 50,000 masks and various other bits and pieces which I don't have the details of. And so that has been a huge disappointment to us. All of those were things that were produced and purchased in the United States.
And is there any idea if those items will be released, or are they just not coming to the island at all?
Well, I'm sure we're working through the various diplomatic channels on it, but there seems to be a policy now to prevent the shipment out of the United States of certain key pieces of equipment. and PPE and ventilators. If you're following the news, which I'm sure everyone is doing, you will see are in quite short supply in a number of the really hard-hit states in the United States with regard to COVID-19.
Okay. My next question, there have been some store owners of liquor stores that have said they were told they would need to close from this evening. Have there been any changes to operating hours for the liquor stores?
None that I'm aware of. There are so many rumors around. We spend half the day chasing down false stories and fake news and trying to hammer them on the head. So I presume this is just another one of those because none of us know anything about that.
Okay. And just my last question, we've also received some labor-related complaints, things like non-payment of salaries. For issues like that, where should they be directed? Where should people go to voice their grievances?
Well, work will have to entertain those complaints and to deal with them. Are people saying that they're not having access to that?
Yes, they're saying that their salaries aren't being paid. They're not getting access to their money.
I mean that they're not having access to the services provided by work.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you for letting me know that. And if you have any particular details, can you send them to me by WhatsApp, and I'll speak to the relevant persons to see if we can get the process moving.
Okay. Sorry, correction. There's no problem with work.
Oh.
They just aren't getting paid by their employees, and they don't know where they should go to for this issue.
Yeah, but that would be work. That would be work.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And Felicia, as I've been mentioning, they can go on gov.ky/coronavirus, and they can scroll down to many categories there, and one of them is under resources, where they can find all sorts of information and contact details for work. So hopefully that helps. I do have a few questions from the public. One is either for Dr. Lee or Dr. Sam, I'm not sure which one. The waste that's produced by coronavirus patients is considered a biohazard. How is that being stored and disposed of? Okay, Dr. Samuel Williams is coming to the podium.
Delegated.
Thanks, Alan, for that question. We have been in communication with the Department of Environmental Health, and instructions have been given to them following the CDC guidelines of how to dispose of waste material, and also for the staffing, how to protect themselves.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Samuel. Dr. Lee, did you have something to say? No? Okay. Just a few more questions. Premier McLaughlin, I know that you said that you would address the weekend, the Easter weekend announcements tomorrow. However, a lot of people, particularly those like myself, whose last initials begin with A to K, are concerned that they may not be able to go to the grocery store on Friday. Should they do all their shopping today in just a few hours, or what?
Yes. Yes, Good Friday is not a hard curfew day. Some people have been asking me that question, but Good Friday, like Christmas Day, traditional in Cayman, fortunately nothing opens. So
we got to get to shopping.
So you got to get to shop for that.
Yes, thank you very much. Also, another question, maybe this one is for the Minister of Health, I'm not sure. Seamen and veterans and those who get government assistance, a lot of them are elderly persons who just walk to the government building and collect their checks. They're not able to do that now. What's the process in place for them to collect their checks?
I really don't know how to answer that question. I'll have to check. I mean,
okay.
We've been issuing payments we issued payments to the seamen and to the veterans last month. We also did the additional, shall I call it, hardship bit. So there is a process in place, and I really haven't heard many screams. And believe you me, I usually hear them fairly quickly if there are significant problems with any processes.
Okay.
So I presume that the system, whatever system they've put in place, has been working quite well.
Okay. I have one final question, and then we'll go back to the rest of the media platforms. Considering the loss of these much-needed supplies through the U.S. at this point, of course, your teams are still working on getting them released. Is there any consideration being given to how the loss of that shipment can be subsidized, and how much of a hard hit is that, really?
Well, there were 4 ventilators. They were refurbished ventilators, not brand new ones. But we've been trying, and we do have sources. We're trying to get another 30 ventilators here, which would, in terms of per capita, would put us into the stratosphere compared to any other country in the world. And I have to talk to the folk who are doing that now about how this experience here impacts their thinking and what workarounds we can put in place to ensure that we get what we need. We have a significant amount of PPE that should be on its way here fairly shortly. That's from China. So we're a bit nervous about even that going through the United States. So we're seeing what we can do. There are a whole lot of moving parts that are going on, and a lot of work to try to make sure that should the worst occur, while we're working hard to keep that from happening, but should the worst occur, that we will be super prepared here to deal with very sick people in numbers, and that we're able to ensure that our frontline staff, and particularly the medical staff, have the best quality and quantity, and enough in terms of quantity of PPE to be able to deal with the patients.
Just a general message I'd like to share on behalf of the general public, as well as Mr. and Mrs. Stanley Scott, to the panelists. They thank you for your hard work. They're praying for all of you, and they feel that you deserve to have at least a Friday off, maybe even Sunday. So they would not have a problem if you decided to do that.
But I might as well say that
Go on.
The governor and I have taken an executive decision that unless there is something really remarkable, Friday and Sunday, there will be no press conference, and we are directing that the lab be closed as well so people can get some rest.
Okay. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that. Dr. Lee?
To update you on a couple of things that I've been able to check up in the meantime. The number of samples waiting to be tested is 21 from the day yesterday, and 27 from today. Additionally, about the issue of trash or rubbish, there is in the frequently asked questions section of the gov.ky/coronavirus, it gives the information that I thought was there. I just needed to check that it was there about trash in case you have COVID, and that you should put it aside for 72 hours before you put it out, and to double bag it. Thank you.
And Dr. Lee, of those 48, do you know how many were students, or do we not have that?
I don't think we're waiting for any students.
Students is finished.
No, sir.
Okay. Do we have any questions from the media for Dr. Lee or anyone else on the panel? Okay, Reshma, go ahead.
Thank you, Donna. Just for the Premier to go back to that point that he was making about the medical supplies, just to clarify, were these items already on its way, or had the vessel left when the U.S. authority seized them? And can you say which U.S. authority? Was it Customs, or do you have that information readily available?
No, Reshma, I don't have that level of detail. My understanding was that the container with the supplies had been loaded aboard the ship in preparation for its departure to Cayman, when it was stopped by the U.S. authorities and removed. The vessel was stopped and the container removed. I don't have any other detail than that.
Okay, thank you. This is not the first time that the U.S. authorities has done this. We have at least 5 countries that have had the situation develop. What level of action is the Cayman Islands government going to take? Is the Attorney General going to get involved, the UK government as well, to try and get us these much needed supplies?
We're going to do everything we can.
Okay. This one, I know Minister Seymour touched on this earlier this week. You also talked about it. It's the money transfer services. You said one proposal had been rejected. What happened with the second proposal? Because the questions keep coming about from the public on this, can you provide us with any further information on that?
No, I don't have any further information. I don't, but I'll have another one with Mr. Bush, with Eric Bush afterwards. But I think the concerns still remain regarding the lack of adequate provision to ensure social distancing and the risks involved. As I say, we're struggling as it is with the banks, not so much inside the banks, but outside. You know, the banks and the supermarkets still pose the greatest public health risk with respect to this disease because of the sheer number of people who congregate in queues to get in to those facilities. And we are loath, absolutely loath to make another, create another situation which makes the risk that much greater. So I haven't actually looked at this myself. I'll try to do so this afternoon. But I certainly have had no recommendations from the team that this is something that we should move to approve. We know that it is a great inconvenience to a significant portion of the population, particularly the expat population. But we have to weigh that in the balance against the risks that this that congregation of many people will create. The only thing I can say to many people, because we've had requests now to open the automobile parts stores, to open the Department of Vehicle and Driver's Licensing. I got a long list of, after I went through that list, I said, well, we might as well forget about the curfew because we're just going back to business as usual. Oh yes, to open the stores that provide stationery and computer supplies and so forth, is that if we all just batten down the hatches, suck some of this up and the pain and the inconvenience for another few weeks, we might just be able to relax many of these things once we are satisfied that there is no significant risk of the virus continuing to spread through the community here. But if we keep messing about with this and opening this and opening that, creating more opportunities for people to interact with each other and to contract the virus, we're going to be, dying by 1,000 cuts for months as we keep trying little by little to stamp out the virus. Let's all understand that we have to deal with the inconvenience and the hardship that this is causing for another few weeks. And if we are successful in that endeavor, life can get back to some semblance of normalcy. But if we keep having cases after case after case popping up in the community, we just keep pushing back the date when life can return to some semblance of normalcy. By 2 weeks every time we get another positive case.
Thank you, Premier. I appreciate that. My final question, because it came in, quite a few people today sent it in, and there were quite a few lines at the supermarket today with the alphabet scenario as it is, have asked if there's any special consideration being given to allow them to be able to complete their purchases maybe later on, or a special provision that could be given to them on Saturday, because after today, there's no shopping for them until Monday. And that's my final question for today.
No, we've looked at it. The risks are just too great. We are considering, and I've spoken to the Commissioner about Cayman Brackbury, the numbers are smaller, and the fact that supermarkets don't open in the Brack on Easter Monday, but they do open in Cayman on Easter Monday. So it's not from Wednesday until the following Wednesday. It'll be from Wednesday to Monday.
Okay, if that's all the questions we have from members of the media, we'll ask our panelists if they have any final words for us today.
I just wanted to
Mr. Seymour.
give an update on, before we leave anyone out, this is such a great undertaking in terms of getting the test kits here. I was approached, started with me actually, being approached by businessman Craig Merrin. I'm not going to take the full credit for it. I get approached every day by people who say that they can deliver test kits and masks and everything in the world, PPEs, and we all know that not everybody can deliver what they say they can. I've known Craig for a while, and I trusted his source, and I asked a few questions, as I do all the time before these things happen. This is a great thing that this country is been able to receive that amount of test kits. And I always turn them over to the CEO of the hospital first so that they can do their vetting, and Dr. Williams and Dr. Lee also. And I wait for comments back from them before I even proceed with moving on. And then it's turned over then to Ms. Dawn Cummins, the CFO at HSA. So I wanted to shout out Ms. Lizette, Dr. Williams, Dr. Lee, and Dawn Cummins for the work that they did initially in trying to make this happen, along with the governor's office and everyone else, and Eric Bush and everybody. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Minister Seymour. His Excellency, Premier McLaughlin, no final words? All right, well, before we go, we'd like to remind everyone, if you're having employment issues and you'd like to make any complaints, you're actually going to go online to gov.ky/coronavirus and look under the Department of Labor and Pensions for any answers to those issues that you may have there. Also, and for any other unanswered question that you may have had. Again, if you need information in regards to police clearances or vehicle licensing or trade and business licensing, you can go online along with other services information to eservices.gov.ky. We'd like to say thank you to everyone who made today's press briefing possible. Again, we thank you, the viewing public and listening public, for joining us, and we hope you'll do the same again tomorrow.
Attention landlords and property owners. Now is the time to register for an online account with Water Authority. As we all continue to shelter in place to prevent the spread of the coronavirus, having an online account means you can easily view your bill and make emergency service requests from the safety of your home. Email the Water Authority customer service team at info@waterauthority.ky today to register for your online account.
More than ever, we need to ensure our friends, neighbors, colleagues, and family are staying well with social distancing. That means being creative. Call them regularly. Create WhatsApp groups. Offer to assist with shopping or running errands. You could use an app like Nextdoor to see if your neighbors need assistance while the world grapples with the latest challenges. Be Cayman kind. Cayman Insurance Center. For 45 years, they have worked with the community and their families on protecting themselves for the future. If you need someone to speak to during these challenging times, call Denise Brown at 814-7229 or Michael Webster at 925-5433. Cayman Insurance Center. They care about you.
Home
which should be a haven, can even be less of a safe space during curfew if someone is experiencing child abuse. If you or anyone you know is being abused, help is nearby. For emergencies, call 911. They will redirect your call to the relevant agencies. For general guidelines and inquiries, call the Multi-Agency Safeguarding Hub, MASH, at 1-800-534-2273 or 945-0545. Alternatively, email mash@gov.ky.
Persons in the Cayman Islands are reminded that shelter-in-place procedures are in effect. If you are not an essential services worker, you must remain at home unless you are going to the supermarket or pharmacy between the hours of 5 a.m. and 7 p.m. until further notice. Please note that gatherings, parties, and events such as conferences and concerts involving more than 2 persons are not allowed. Until further notice, the shelter-in-place order is in effect and applies to all 3 Cayman Islands. This might be extended if deemed necessary. Although movement will be allowed for essential purposes, shelter at home still requires everyone to remain at home or in their yard space. Breaches upon conviction will attract a $1,000 fine and imprisonment of 6 months. A hard curfew is in effect from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m., meaning that no one except essential services workers is allowed to leave home at any time during the hard curfew period. Stay at home, Cayman.
Radio. With the switch of a dial, radio brings you tragedy, comedy, entertainment, information, education, a whole world at your command.
Give me some sound over here.
Radio Cayman's Super Jam Show.
Radio. Proudly sponsored by the Cayman Islands Football Association. SIFA, building a better future for Cayman football.
Word up, and we in effect. Keep on listening.
Super Jam. The Super Jam Show is fueled by the proud sponsor